Record. Why not?
There we go. I'm recording.
We got 13 hours.
It might be enough.
If this podcast goes really off the rails, we'll be in trouble.
You mean if? Welcome to Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast, the only podcast to combine the subjects of gaming, tech, media, and puppets for no easily explainable reason. It's Friday, January 24th, 2025. You are the internet. I am Kevin Blades. My pronouns are he, him, and this is episode 2 of season 3 of Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast. These are getting longer. I need to take more of a breath. Joining me are my co-hosts. His pronouns are he, him. It's Jamie, a.k.a. Scumboy.
Hello.
And his pronouns are he, him. It's Andrew, a.k.a. Bad Phantom.
It's 2025.
Yes. And
We're like 6 years past Blade Runner.
Yeah?
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Back to the Future Part 2 took place in 2015, for Christ's sake.
Those are all retro films. I know what you're talking about. That's all. That's all in the past,
every once in a while, man, I just see that number and I go, no, it's what? How old am I? Oh shit. Oh god,
We're all in the same room this time.
We are all in the same room, unlike last time. So the second episode of the new season, and
Yes.
we managed to be all in the same room. That's pretty good. It's still the first month of
Yes.
the year.
I'm less
Yeah.
sick, so it's good.
Yeah.
It's good. So we could actually do it. I realized we could do a T-shirt check.
We could.
We used to do it for the new people, which are probably most of you. We used to do a thing on our old podcast called T-shirt Check, where we would and this was a great idea for an audio format.
Yes.
It was kind of a joke, but we also were very proud of our t-shirts.
We also
true.
we got pretty good at describing them.
So we would each sort of describe the nerdy T-shirt we were wearing, and for a change, we all are wearing a T-shirt.
That's correct.
Of sorts, or at least a logo type thing of sorts. Do you want to start, Andrew? Because you got the best one.
I got a lovely shirt from my brother for Christmas. It is an 8-bit Kermit wielding a Buster Sword and or a Cloud Sword from Final Fantasy VII.
Cloud is how I saw it, because that's the only one
it's
I
probably
know.
Cloud, but the giant.
Is Cloud Sword not a Buster Sword?
It's basically a Buster. I don't know what they call it in the game. I
thought
can't
it was
remember,
actually
but
called
that
a
makes
Buster
sense
Sword.
that it's a Buster Sword, but it's like an 8-foot or 7-foot sword. Anyway, it's a lovely image. And
It is very on brand for the. It's
Extremely.
It's pixels and puppets.
Yeah.
I mean,
It truly is.
You
Yeah.
got this
truly
podcast
is.
on your shirt.
I think whoever designed it is clearly a fan of the show.
I think that's the only possible conclusion would be that.
Yes. I'll go next.
You go next.
I win the award for the most expensive T-shirt.
Right. 'Cause
this
this is right. Yeah.
This T-shirt is one that I got in Australia when I went to see Violent Soho at their last show. It's got their logo, which is a skull wearing a toque, smoking a joint with some weed and upside down crosses, and I think there's a pyramid beside the logo. I can't look down at it. There's a big one on the back, and it says...
well, there's an upside down triangle in the background.
Oh, that's it. Then on the back, it's got the logo large with the text, see you again soon, and the dates of the 2 shows that we went to in Brisbane. So this both had to travel in my luggage.
So you went to Australia
across
for that shirt.
the ocean. Yes, this one and 2 others, but this is my favorite because it's the long sleeve with their logo stuff down the arm. There's a little pyramid.
Yeah, it's pyramid. You're right.
But yeah, no, I love Violent Soho. I loved the process of getting this shirt, but it was an expensive shirt, expensive concert, but I have no regrets. That was 2022.
Totally worth it.
And Kevin,
I did this week. I ordered it before Christmas, and of course there were all kinds of shipping delays because of stuff. But I got my first Warframe T-shirt. This is the new War logo.
I love
says
it.
The new War on the back.
Yep.
Thank you to Megan at DE.
Yes.
Who because I did sort of email going, hey, I ordered this before Christmas. Do we know? And she sent me a new link for the tracking, and it was all good. It showed up this
Excellent.
week. Yeah.
All the people at DE are good people.
The people at DE are good. So we're starting already, but But yeah, okay. Anyway, we did T-shirt check again.
Yes.
That's cool because you know what?
Absolutely nothing happened in the news this week.
Nothing happened this week at all.
Super chill.
There's nothing newsworthy happening.
No, I checked. I was actually looking and I'm like, nothing happened this week.
Nope, absolutely.
The headline
nothing.
banner on CNN.com is "It's all good."
So we won't be talking about all of the nothing that happened.
Yeah, no, it's no point.
Because we think probably everybody could use a break from the nothing that happened. So.
Yeah. I mean, people don't really need a break because nothing happened. But we're just gonna soldier on regardless.
If let's say theoretically something happened, you probably need a break from it. So that's what we're doing.
People have got enough of whatever might have happened in the nothing that actually happened.
Yeah, so there we go. So that you can look forward to that. Unfortunately, I'm afraid I'm about to break that promise because our next thing after the not real break is we're going to descend into the puppet pit.
The pit of puppets.
You have entered an alternate dimension, a dimension of fleece and fur, of foam and industrial adhesives, so I hope you have good ventilation. A signpost up ahead. Watch your step. You have just stumbled into the puppet pit.
Welcome to the puppet pit, where we're talking about the puppet side of Operation Puppet for the last 2 weeks. So the show notes say...
They're a little thin.
And again, I quote... The bi-weekly build and stream roundup.
Yep.
Which is usually what we do. Now, that's kind of the placeholder show note because I usually fill that out with what has happened in the past 2 weeks. Last week, because it's still Friday, technically.
Yes.
Last week was fine. We did two builds. We did stuff on stream. It was a really nice, pleasant, happy, fun build stream. Lots of good new people showed up.
Yep.
And it was a fun, great time. One of the 2 puppets that I built last week I already sold. The Grey Goblin sold like within hours of me putting it up. It was pretty good.
It's fantastic.
So that was all good. And then this week happened.
Ooh.
And it's been a week, folks, let me tell you. So because of the nothing that happened, I was already kind of in a bad headspace. And I think that affected my work. So I actually wanted to get to this point because I think this is something good to talk about sort of in the overall view of stuff. Because as you know, a lot of the stuff I try and do is appealing to people who are just learning puppet building. So this is something that, I think everybody... I've faced it several times, and I think everybody will eventually face it. And it's good to talk about it at this stage that I'm at now, because I'm like almost 6 years into doing this. So let me tell you, sometimes you're going to have an off day.
Yeah.
I don't believe you.
Sometimes things are just going to go wrong. And even like the things that you've done 1,000 times before and that you thought you had down, for whatever reason, things are going to go sideways.
There's a term for that in baseball.
What's it? What is it?
The yips.
Yep, the yips.
I have never heard of
batters.
The yips.
Batters will get into the yips where balls that they normally would hit, they miss entirely, and it's just
and they've done their entire lives, and it's just gone.
It's like a feedback loop between their brain and their hands. The more they think about the yips, the more they have the yips, and the more they have the yips, the more they think about the yips.
It's a bit like stage fright. I think it's kind of like a whole, like you said, feedback loop.
Yeah.
You just get into that kind of.
You just overthink it.
Yeah.
I should be able to do this.
Muscle memory. Should just be muscle memory.
What these batters normally do without thinking, they start thinking very much about what they're doing and try to change it in small ways, thus ruining their whole mechanical flow.
It's like thinking about walking.
Yeah.
Like trying to remember how your body, like, and then you forget how to walk because you overthink. You're like, which leg goes first? Like, does my knee go ahead? No, what's happening?
You're exactly right. That is absolutely it. And that's kind of this, like I think that's probably what happened to me.
Your stride got thrown off.
So
also fumes.
Well,
you try to air it out, but it's winter. You kept the window closed. Maybe you got a little bit of contact cement in your nose.
It's entirely possible that you're at least partly accurate because
I like being partly accurate.
I've had to like come up with a new process for gluing during it was really cold.
Yeah,
this
the
week.
beginning of this week was bitter.
So normally what I do, and I've lectured about this on stream many times, is that like when you're using industrial contact cement like barge, have the window open, have a fan venting out, wear a respirator. That you are definitely going to be protected from the fumes if you do that.
Yeah.
Now, of course, because it was so freaking cold, having the window open for any length of time
was a no-go.
Was like I couldn't work because it was just so cold in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So what I would have to do was respirator on, window closed, door closed, because I've got weather stripping around the door so the fumes don't get out into the rest of the apartment. Do all the gluing I had to do, open the window, mask off, leave the room.
Yeah.
Right, with the fan venting out, and let the room aerate, let the room vent out. Come back in the freezing cold room, close the window, wait for the room to come up to temperature, and then get on with my work.
Yeah.
Right,
Light a candle.
kind of, yeah. So there's been a whole other step that's been involved with that. So that kind of threw me off my rhythm.
Exactly,
as
it's
well.
the rhythm. Yeah,
It's too bad you don't have a range hood on your stove that you could do it under.
We don't. There's no. Yeah. The ventilation in this place is poor.
Well,
Yes.
opening windows, I think, was their concession to ventilation.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, that's that. I just got into a kind of a bad rhythm.
Yeah.
And so one of the builds went fine.
Yeah.
The other one, everything that could possibly go wrong with a puppet build went wrong with this. I don't even have the time to describe, like literally everything went wrong. And I was unbelievably discouraged by the end of it because, I try to keep on a very tight schedule.
Yeah.
I have a quota that I try to meet every week.
I will say you were due. You were due for a disaster.
Oh, absolutely. No,
You've had an incredible run. You gotta get a shit show to clear the air.
Absolutely. And here's the thing that I've learned, and this is really, I guess, the second time something of this magnitude has hit. Mm-hmm. And the interesting thing, and this is true this time as well as the last time, is I get to a point where I like give up on the thing. This is unrecoverable. This is like, I can't, whatever. And then I'll just literally throw it in the trash, and then I'll just like sit on it. And
You got to step away.
And
Don't sit on the trash, Kevin.
mentally. I'll mentally sit on it. And then I'll come back the next day and I'll try again.
This is the same with coding. Like you'll hit a wall where you just like, I cannot make this work. And then you spend like 10 hours away from it. And then you come back to it and you're like, okay, I can do it like this. And then you get past that point and then, you're kind of back in a stride.
Did you take the puppet out of the garbage?
I didn't throw this one in the garbage. The first time this happened, I did. I messed up the head so bad that I literally just went, I can't do anything with this, and I threw it in the trash. And then like the next day, and now there's nothing else in the trash. There was nothing gross in there, so I was like, all right. So I fished it out, and I kept it, and it ended up being one of the better puppets that I made early on in my career.
Yeah.
This is the one that's called Snaggletooth.
Yep.
Currently and still after all these years still working, the person who bought it works for an elementary school.
Oh, yes.
And they are doing the morning announcements, and they are a minor celebrity in the school.
That's
All
awesome.
the kids love Snaggletooth. They named the kid the puppets Snuggletooth.
Snuggletooth.
That's it.
That's awesome.
I mean, come on, because he got one fang.
Yeah.
It's very.
That's
very cute. But
fantastic.
anyway, yeah. And that was a huge success.
Yeah.
Big one. And that one literally started out in the trash, right? And this one kind of is in the same place. So the one that went wrong, I made two puppets this week. I made a blue goblin, who's like a very derpy kind of guy, very
very underbite.
yeah,
Huge underbite.
He's the underbite one, and he's like inspired design wise by Gobo Fraggle.
I see.
Like, he's got no eyes.
Yep.
Like, it's just
Yep.
the hair
Yep.
covers.
It's a really good one. He's very charming.
And it's also very simple. And
Yeah.
that one was like, obviously, this
The
is
one
problem.
tooth.
The other one was, since the first Drag Queen Dragon, aka Drag On, was so popular eventually,
No, the multiple people, 2 people reached out after it sold saying, oh, the dragon
Yeah.
sold?
It's not a small purchase. I mean, it's
Oh no, it's absolutely not a small purchase. But the weird part about that was that like I had put it up, and I thought it would probably go pretty quick, and it didn't.
It languished.
It sat on the shop for a month.
it became a marquee.
Right. But yeah, then literally within 24 hours of somebody buying it, 2 people separately, independently messaged me on different platforms saying, "Oh, I wanted that." You know, so it's like,
Did one of those 2 people buy it?
Did one of them have it in their basket?
so it did sell. So
Yeah.
I made that's the conclusion is I made another dragon. And this one was live hands, which
Yes.
this is the
I
first live hands
love
one.
the 3-finger live hands
Yeah.
for the dragon.
I used the Neef hand
Yes.
pattern
Yep.
because that one's got like the finger extensions.
kind of like claw-like.
Yeah, they make your fingers longer and
Yeah.
they kind of get weird and
Yeah.
tentacly, and it's kind of neat. And it suits the dragon thing very well,
And also the drag thing.
and also the drag thing. So yeah, but I made this one. I literally I'm at the point now where I need to like be very conservative with my materials. So I'm just looking at what I've got and what can I make with this. And that's kind of where this came from, was like because I had made a human puppet over the holidays that I needed a wig for. I had bits of the wig left over. So I'm like, well, I've got all this sort of long black hair. What can I do with this kind of thing? So I ended up making this gothy drag queen dragon.
Did the hair have the netting on it still?
The hair had the netting on it. What I ended up doing was
I was
stitching-
wondering how you attached it, because
Yeah.
if it was just like hanks of hair, it'd be very hard to...
So wigs are made out of what are called wefts.
Yeah.
And this is basically a whole bunch of wefts that are stitched together,
Mm-hmm.
right? So what I ended up doing was just kind of like folding them in half, stitching them together so it would make a sort of more full.
Yep.
Because it's almost like a side mohawk.
It's the
off-
shaved side and back with
Yeah.
the hair cascading down the one side. It's a very good look.
It's a kind of a Gloria Swanson
Skrillex.
kind of a look.
Skrillex.
Is that who that is? Okay.
Skrillex.
Yeah,
I
Gloria
know.
Swanson's real name is Skrillex.
Gloria Skrillex.
I know who Gloria Swanson is. I don't really know who Skrillex
Skrillex
is.
Swanson? Skrillex was the progenitor of dubstep.
That much I kind of knew. I knew some kind of DJ association in my head.
But he had long hair with the shaved
Okay.
side. So.
Yeah. So yes, this is like that. But so I ended up like stitching it on at first, but of course then you've still got a raw edge on the netting. So I ended up sort of like I had some black fur, so I ended up just gluing a strip of black fur along there, just sort of cover,
Kind of hide that. Yeah. It looked really good. It
Anyway,
was
yeah, it sold literally within an hour.
Wow, of going
putting it
up?
Yeah,
Wow.
by the same person who bought the first Dragon.
Oh no! Not that I don't want them to have it. If you're listening, I just did this. There's 2 other people interested, and
You know-
you just sniped mine. Direct shop.
Yes, direction.
Ah, that's amazing.
Which is the best. Thank you very
amazing.
much. So if you're listening, thank you.
They probably got it because they got the pro tip of check the direct shop, and the direct shop is where you upload them first, right?
That is indeed what I do. So they're tending to stay up for a few days on the direct shop before I move them to Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
The ogre that I made last week had not sold on the direct shop yet, so I just today put it on Etsy.
Mm-hmm.
But so the Blue Goblin is still available, but the Gothy Drag Queen
Wow.
Dragon is
Someone start a
sold.
collection.
And that's the thing. Like, it started out horribly, but then I just kind of left it and went, okay, see, next week, I'm actually done. This was the end of the build queue for this month.
Yes.
And I didn't realize we have this kind of weird extra half week next week. So I'm like, I kind of got some flex days here. If I need to, I can just come back to this and spend a few days and rebuild. Thankfully, I didn't need that because the next day everything just kind of clicked again, and I managed to fix all of the things that went wrong.
You just need to get out of your head for a minute, and then you'll come back, you'll look at it, and you're like, "Oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was."
Exactly. Well, it was kind of that bad, but I did manage to fix it.
Oh no, it was bad.
It was bad. It was almost to the point of being unrecoverable. But this is what I keep saying on the build streams: is that the only difference between a pro and a beginner is a pro has had the experience of fucking up so many times that they know what to do when they do fuck up. It's not that we don't, it's that we know then how to recover from it. That's the only difference. So the only way you can get to that point is by doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can only get to being good at something by being bad at something. That's how any process of learning any skill begins. So,
Yeah.
So that's kind of the lesson of this week. So one of the practical upshots of that was that on Thursday, when the build stream was supposed to happen, I was just in a bad headspace, and I'm like, I need to just focus on this and try and fix this mess. So
It's good to be able to say no.
well, that's the thing, and it's like, the build streams are just kind of for fun, and it's not a huge deal. They're always well attended, which is the neat thing. Even after I've taken a break.
I think Thursday's been a good move.
Thursday has been a good move. We're getting
a lot of new people.
More new people than usual.
And then the people who came the last one were at the one after that. So you're getting more people that are also showing up on a fairly regular basis.
And let's face it, because of the things that didn't happen, people are starting to move around social media a little bit. So we're getting some new faces, I think, just because of that, which is fine with me. So yeah, welcome to the new people. There will be more build streams next week. I don't actually know what I'm going to be doing because
you got a half week.
I've got these flex days, so I'll probably think of something neat to do on the build stream, or maybe I'll take requests. I'll post in the Discord and see if people have something they want me to do, on the build stream, because I've kind of got a week that I can just
fire up
around.
the mister. Fire up the mister.
That's a whole different thing. We will be talking about that next. But as always, that's kind of the end of the last 2 weeks. That's where we are now.
I mean,
thankfully,
it ended on an up note.
It did end up on an up note. That is, I think, the lesson is that things can get shitty.
Yeah.
They can also get better. Right.
Absolutely.
So that's how my week went. Hopefully your week. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I know everybody had a bad week who's at least mildly cognizant of the world. So hopefully your week ended well, and if not, maybe you can start now.
Have a good sleep, and then wake up with fresh eyes, and just try to turn it around.
The sun will come up.
Absolutely.
We should mention that the Puppet Pit does have a new a resident director, Robert Eggers. Will be entering the Puppet Pit.
You know what? That is puppet news. That is relevant. So yeah, Robert Eggers, director of the new Nosferatu, is first making a Wolfman film.
Yes, it's a German name, so it's going to be hardcore.
Yeah, well,
set in the 1300s too, because of course
a period piece.
Yes, very much so. Go figure. Robert Eggers doing a period piece. What are the odds? And then he's doing another period piece.
And then a sequel to Labyrinth.
Yeah.
With the Henson Company.
Great choice. Yeah. He's a great choice. It'll be amazing to see him try to do something family oriented with obviously bringing something.
I mean, arguably, you'd say he's been specializing in fantasy, just the kind of more horrific fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's true. So that I'm sure I'm confident that he's going to embrace the puppet side of Labyrinth.
But how does he work Willem Dafoe into Labyrinth?
He's the living Muppet. He's one of the few living Muppets out there.
Come on, old Jared. Come on. Please. Who would play a better? He's played a goblin.
He would. He would demand the original Bowie codpiece.
It's true.
Goblin Emperor.
So there we go. That's all the puppet stuff relevant to the Puppet Pit for this week. So we are going to take an actual break, and we will be back with Gizmo Town. The sky above the port was the color of a YouTube video hit with a copyright takedown. Around the rainy streets, people huddled with neon umbrellas and impractical goggles. Here we fight the corporate arcologies and get excited about phones. Welcome to the mean streets of Gizmo Town.
So, if America's about to become Tariff Central, do we have the opportunity to become Gizmo Town? And in that we
run Gizmo Town?
Well, I mean, if
Master Blaster run Gizmo Town.
If certain countries' products are all of a sudden insanely expensive, but in Canada they're reasonably priced, maybe we become Gizmo Town.
I mean, it all depends on the deals, right? What kind of deals are the deal makers going to make?
Exactly.
Who even knows? Welcome to Gizmo Town, where we talk about tech and all things related to tech, starting as always with the Deck Nook.
I had I was scared for the Deck Nook
The
this
Deck
week.
Nook was thin until a couple of days ago.
It was looking dire.
Well, I mean, there's a lot happening.
There is a lot, and also like we just had CES. That was the thick Deck Nook,
and
this is the lull post.
People are getting hands on the new shit. And I'm seeing videos. I'm seeing the usual suspects getting their hands on the current crop, and it's very interesting.
If you're new, FYI, I should probably do this occasionally.
Of course,
because we do occasionally, believe it or not, get new people.
I totally
Nook,
imagine that's the case.
The Deck Nook is where we talk about handheld PCs and related devices.
Like the Steam Deck.
Like the Steam
Like
Deck.
the Steam Deck, hence the name Deck Nook. It's the Nook. It's the Nook for the decks.
We cram the decks in the Nook.
The various decks. So
It
let's
fits
go down.
so well there.
Yeah,
It really does.
It really brings the room together.
So, first note here, no FSR, no problem. There's a new plugin coming. I don't know if it's coming or if it is out already.
Someone was showing it off in the news article, so I don't think it had been released yet.
For the Decky Loader, which is a very popular plugin loader for the Steam Deck.
Yep.
That will add FSR3 support to games that do not support FSR.
So like DLSS,
DLSS. Exactly.
DLSS games.
Which aren't that many?
I mean, there are a few that are NVIDIA based that won't have FSR.
Yeah.
And this is all outside of that Duck plugin.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is a paid plugin that you can get. Is it even a plugin? It's an app. It's an actual program that runs and plays nicey nice and makes frames for you.
But this one will take non-FSR apps and make them FSR3. And there's apparently another plugin that will upgrade FSR2 apps to FSR3, but it's a separate one. Like this one apparently doesn't do that.
Right.
So
basically, you start the game, and the game says, "Hey, ChatGPT, make me some frames."
You're not that far wrong.
It just adds a string to the end of the launch parameter for any game on the Steam Deck and adds pump it through this FSR utility that we're bringing down that will generate the frames, as you said.
It's amazing that you can do that, and the system just goes, "You got it, Skip," and just fires it up. Like that just bakes my brain. Man.
Power of Steam OS.
Steam Deck is bubblegum Tate.
Jesus.
But that's cool. It's nice to see stuff like that happening.
Yeah,
so it's not out. It's just been.
So the plugin isn't out. The app that is being used is out, but it's you would manually have to add the string to everything. The plugin, all it does is you pull up a page for a game and you say add the string to this, and it'll add it to the launch option.
So this kicks off a whole discussion, and
does it?
Well, I mean,
I hope so.
The
This
premise,
is a podcast.
the premise of DLSS and frame generation has been, it was not that long ago. It was anathema. It was bad. Nobody wanted it to because it was poorly implemented at the time. I mean, the original DLSS launch was very bad. Everybody said, "All right, this is a nice idea, but it looks like shit." And with this current generation, especially with the new generation, it's kind of amazing to me how quickly everybody online has gone, "Oh yeah, no, this is good."
They were saying that if the game gives you a relatively locked 30, it makes it feel like 60.
Right.
But if the game tends to drop a lot, FSR, this FSR plugin is not going to be great because you'll be getting a lot of frame time.
So that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense that it will make stuff that already runs good look great,
and also,
as opposed to things that run bad look good.
Yeah,
it's easier to do on something low res. Steam Deck,
and that's the other side of this.
This is where the benefits are.
Yeah.
You're taking something that's not in 4K and then adding frames to make it look smoother.
And you're not playing a lot of real Twitch games on the deck. I mean, obviously you can, but for the most part, it feels like people are more happy to use, more action games, but that's stuff that's not frame specific. You know, like you don't have the tryhards. You're not playing CS:GO on this setup.
Well, yeah, no. If you absolutely need the frames, no matter what, the deck is probably not your first choice.
Most people's goal has been to just run Cyberpunk at a nice frame rate.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the title that I think people are going to be looking at.
Yeah.
And so, you run that shit at 800p in 30 FPS, and all of a sudden you've got yourself a silky smooth, which again, I still cannot wrap my fucking head around the fact that we can play that on a Steam Deck. Like without streaming, it's there, it's playing. I mean, the deck is not young at this point, but my God, the fact that now we're looking at even better performance in terms of just sitting back and playing it and losing yourself in it instead of frame counting, just to say this looks fantastic.
Yeah,
it's nice and smooth. I mean, RTX again, it's on an 8-inch screen. You're not too freaking out
this
over that.
Is the thing
7-inch screen.
It's where the handhelds are in a position right now where I think it's really interesting because we can do more with the little screen because on a big screen obviously you just see all of the crap.
Yeah.
Whereas you can get away with a bit more. You've got a little more overhead on a small screen. So it's an interesting position to be in.
And I still prefer console gaming on a nice big 4K TV.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But there's obviously a place for portable gaming and for that portable gaming to look great.
Yeah.
And frame generation is going to work with that. And obviously the new tech, the new hardware that's coming out is going to be much more suited to that. And that's why I'm a little surprised that Valve didn't jump on it and say, yeah, fuck it, we're going to go Steam Deck 2 with this new stuff, because they're definitely focusing more into that.
Battery life. They want better performance at the same or better battery life.
That's it. Yes.
And all the new stuff it's better performance, but all of it is worse battery life than their custom APU.
Yeah.
That's
so I'll bet
they've got a checklist and they're waiting for everything to get checked, and then they'll put in the order for the Steam Deck too.
Yeah.
That's that, and I think that's pretty smart. It's also a good long-term plan, because what's going to happen is the salivating dudes who want the frames are going to go for the latest and greatest, most powerful thing, but the people who are in it for the long haul are probably going to wait for the Steam Deck because they know that's the thing they're going to get the most mileage out of. Right?
I mean, I shared it to the chat, and I don't remember which chat. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth PC comes out this week. And on the splash page from the email that Square Enix sent out, right, it was not too far down, they had their own banner that it will run on Steam Deck. Like the game that's designed on the fucking PS5 was cheerfully says, "Hey, motherfucker, we will run on a Steam Deck." I mean,
it's in your IDE when you're going to make your endpoints. There's probably a drop down that says Steam Deck because it's a static target and anyone can hit it, and then you say, okay, make it for the Steam Deck.
The same game that they were pushing for, ray tracing and 4K and all that. They're also going, oh, by the way, we'll also drop our shit down and run happily on a
Why not?
Steam Deck. And it'll be friggin' beautiful experience.
I mean, obviously temper your expectations.
Yeah, but I mean, it's on a 7-inch screen, so you don't need that.
They've seen that everyone and their sister is trying to cram Horizon Zero Dawn and God of War on the Steam Deck. They're like, why don't we just make it compatible instead of releasing it and then people figuring out how to corrupt it in ways to make it run?
Yeah,
we'll just give it a basic target for the Steam Deck, and then you've got handheld Final Fantasy.
And now you look at the Switch too. I mean, obviously they haven't released any specs yet. I mean, there's still the leaked specs for it. But a lot of the speculation is that they're focusing on frame gen, so to give the illusion of a PS5.
Well, and also that's kind of where we are now. The whole Moore's Law is dead thing is applicable here because, it used to be that we got frames out of just add more power, right? Add more juice and make more frames. We can't do that anymore. We're at saturation point. The chips are as powerful as they're going to get in terms of raw horsepower. Now we have to do funny tricks.
Yep.
And
they're doing it.
And that's what all of this is, right?
But again, this is a goddamn fan thing. This is not Valve, right?
So the application is like, so the fan thing is the Decky plugin,
Right.
which uses this program that does FSR generation that they did not write but exists, and all it does is add that to so the plugin doesn't do anything except for edit the launch parameters of a game to
It
use
just makes it so you don't have to
this
manually do it.
FSR3 generator instead of the whatever DLSS thing.
And I mean, obviously, it's going to break some games.
It's not going to be 100% compatible. Like they say, you can't take a FSR game and pump it into this and expect it to work. It freaks out.
Yeah.
But this is basically a DLSS2 FSR3 like compatibility layer, I think. I haven't looked super into the actual application they're using.
It's not something that everybody's going to be doing. This is for the enthusiasts in the room
absolutely.
that will be embracing this and will massage it. And then eventually Valve will flick the switch and it will appear on everybody's Steam Deck.
That will be Steam Deck too. All right. Moving on. You can get an MSI. I didn't add this one.
I did.
I don't know what the link says. I'm afraid to click it.
Oh, God.
because
I know what the link says.
You can get an MSI Claw 8 AI Plus. What the fuck is a plus?
So it's AI Plus. I think that's the processor. It's a reference to the processor on it. So
4 only, and then
So, as I said earlier, people are getting their hands on the new shit with the juicier processors and the more chutzpah, and the MS. And what surprises me is how hard it is to find these things in Canada, at least on the websites. So the only new tech out of the Zotac is out there as well. There doesn't seem to be any distributor in Canada for it. So the MSI Claw, the new Claw, is only available on Best Buy. It's $1,300 freedom dollars or Canadian dollars, not freedom dollars. It's like 1,000 freedom dollars and 1,300 Canadian.
$1,299.99.
I mean, fuck. That's a spicy meatball.
Yep.
But again, that's the 8-inch screen. It's got the horsepower. It's the same size as a Legion Go, basically,
got 6
without
minutes
the
of battery
detachable.
life.
That's like 4 low-end Steam Decks.
Yeah, it's bananas. But it's there, and you can buy them. They are on the site now. They're not on
sure
hand.
they'd be happy to let you buy them.
I think it said back ordered till the February 3rd, which isn't that far. But yeah, I mean, the fact that you can drop $1,300 Canadian, and I mean, I will say, if you do order it today, you don't have to pay tax on that, because we're still in a tax holiday, and it is considered a game console, so you would save a lot of money. So anyway, I'm not buying one. That's not my announcement by any means.
Next podcast. Yeah. So I bought an MSI Claw 8 AI Plus.
I will say that a lot of the online people who have their YouTube channels have been using them, and everybody seems to be very pleased with it. So, as we expected, the first Claw.
This isn't the one with the Intel processor, right?
Yes.
It is?
Yes.
Okay.
So what is the AI Plus?
It's marketing bullshit. It's just simply... Now, this is the other thing. I was under the impression that there were different SKUs for it. There's only one.
Oh, really?
At least in Canada, there's only one SKU, and it's...
Can I get the AI with no plus, please?
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I thought there was like a non-plus version, like this is the Pro or something, but MSI's website makes no indication that there's another SKU available.
Could I get it just with the I, no A?
Yeah, so you can still pick up the 7. The 7 is heavily discounted as well because they've abandoned it already. It doesn't exist in their eyes, but you can still purchase one for like $600, $700. So, I mean, you know, the alternatives are arriving.
Yeah.
And again, this is an 8-inch screen. It's a chunky boy, but so one of the videos I was watching today, the guy really liked how it felt.
Yeah.
So even for a console that size, I mean, I think 8 inches may actually turn out to be the sweet spot for an oversized one. I mean, Steam Decks are great, and the portability is a big factor, but that 8-inch screen makes a big difference.
Honestly, that's part I can see because just being old.
So
for the price of a mid-range NVIDIA card, you could have.
Yeah, no, that's where I was going with that.
It's true. It's
true. The 5090
and
embargoes.
These are the comparisons that we have to make, right?
Yeah.
When you think about it, you're getting a whole PC, right? Like that's.
But also,
small.
it's not on the scale of a mid-range NVIDIA graphics card.
No way.
And being an Intel platform, it's harder to do apples and oranges comparison for performance. So, but it's a very performant. It is a Windows platform. I don't think anybody's trying to jam Batacera on it yet, or whatever.
I'm sure it'll go.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Bazite,
thank you.
Batacera is the Linux retro emulator distribution.
Or it's the Celtic warrior queen. No, that was Boadicea.
But it's a good. It's just a very expensive option, but it is out there, and obviously the new Legions will be hitting soon. I know that they said that the first launch of the Legion Go will be the Windows version, and I think the Steam version comes later. So
it'll be interesting to see if there's a price difference.
Yeah, that's going to be.
You don't have to pay the Microsoft tax.
I mean, yes, but do you pass that savings on to the end user?
I mean, if you
or is it just a drop down?
If you were in the marketing department, would you?
No.
And I mean, obviously, all of these guys are now living in abject fucking terror of the tariffs because that's going to affect purchasing. And it'll be interesting for us because we may not see the tariffs in Canada, and maybe it'll equalize the horrible exchange rate we've currently got. So, I mean, that could have some other effects down the.
If I can start buying fabric directly from China, that'd be okay.
I mean, we're probably gonna get very friendly with China.
Yeah. So
TikTok,
anyway,
TikTok can stay, no problem.
Get on Red Note. Just cut out the middleman.
Yeah,
exactly.
God, that's been fascinating.
Moving on. This is hilarious. So there was an early report that the Steam Deck sales took a huge hit when the Nintendo Switch 2 announcement happened. Turns out that was a data error.
So the week after the Switch announcement, the Steam Deck was number 47 on the Steam top seller list. It has never been outside of the top 10.
Yeah, even accounting for that, it seems like
So,
but the timing of it was amusing.
Gaming on Linux reached out to Valve and said, "Is this actually the fact?" And they said no. Actually, the data, like somebody had fat fingered the point that it was at, and it was 47 instead of 4, which is where it has been for the last 6 months or something like that. So no, it didn't drop. The Switch, the Steam Deck and the Switch exists in different spheres.
Yeah, they're not. I don't even think it's fair to say they're in competition.
The Switch and anything else is a different sphere.
Now, what would be interesting is if Valve were a publicly traded company. Had this come out, had somebody noted that it was 47 instead of 4,
the stock would have tanked.
It would have been. There would have been
a run on Valve.
But thankfully, they weren't affected by that.
It's like a school of fish. They all just turned.
My God, it's just hilarious. I mean, a side note, I didn't mention it in the show notes, but EA dropped 16% of their value this week, and part of the blame was on Dragon Age. Veilguard failing. They get half the sales they were expecting. Yeah. But the real focus of it was FC 25, their soccer game. They don't call it FIFA anymore. It's FC.
They're having a war with FIFA. FIFA wanted way more money than they had previously.
Sure. But the sales of the ultimate, the loot box that they sell, the fucking card packs, were bad or were way under expectations. So they were promising a profit, and instead they're looking at a loss, and everybody just fucking severed. So it's just a bloodbath for their stock.
The narrative on the Steam Deck though was especially hilarious because Nintendo only did a pre-teaser visualizer on the Switch 2. There wasn't a price.
Simply announced its existence.
There wasn't anything announced. So if it took a drop because the existence of the Switch 2 had been officially announced, that would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get a Steam Deck now because the Switch 2 is officially coming soon.
Because we know it exists at some point in the future.
Yeah, April, I assume. I mean, the Nintendo Direct will be April 2nd, and then the one we have tickets for.
Do we have tickets for? I thought there was
I'm
a draw.
sorry. We're in the lottery. We're in the
Yes.
lottery for it. So, oh God, I hope we get tickets. And that's at the end of April.
I will bring Frankie.
So I hope that I would assume that they're actually launching the hardware in May at the latest. If they're letting people touch it in April, I don't know. It doesn't really matter.
You should email Bob Nintendo and tell them we're a podcast, and they'll rig the lottery for us.
Was it Bowser?
Doug Bowser.
runs it.
Bowser, yeah.
Yeah.
Bowser,
Hey,
of course, Bowser runs.
You should throw a couple
Nintendo.
fireballs.
Honestly,
at him and
it's embarrassing that we're even in a lottery. I mean, here we have a podcast.
Yeah.
I think we should be getting
They should
priority
be
access.
sending us Switch 2 pre-prod
Yes.
We have
devices.
we have tens of listeners.
That's right. We are on the
I mean,
cutting edge.
everyone
of-
always adds 3 zeros to everything that they say they do. So
this is middle-aged tech we're talking about. I mean, you don't have a lot of guys our age doing this shit. So
Yeah.
it's important, I think,
yeah,
to
we're
get our
representing an
taste.
underserved niche.
Yeah,
Yeah.
us three cishet white dudes are like really serving a need.
Yep.
So moving on, this is the exciting part. This is that we should have a drum roll. If only we had a drum roll. Andrew got a thing.
But it's not here yet.
I got an Odin portal.
Oh, did you?
All right.
After all that complaining about me telling you to get an Odin portal,
I got an Odin portal.
Remind me what the Odin portal is.
it's the really, really fancy looking Odin 2.
Okay.
It
Russ,
looks-
friend of the podcast. He's
Parasocial
our
friend of the pod.
Parasocial friend of the pod.
Yes.
Had a fairly glowing review of it this week, which
All right.
made me feel better.
The Odin 2 was his top device almost 2 years running. The only reason he didn't do a second year is because it wasn't new. But like I got it because I know it's a good device, and he has put it through its paces, and everything that comes out since has been compared to the Odin 2.
Yeah. So the portal is a beautiful machine by his accounts, and it is literally on its way. I should have it in my grubby paws by Monday, theoretically, based on the current
Wow.
shipping.
So next podcast will be the exclusive review.
So it's I'm excited.
I'll bring my portal or my Odin 2, and we'll compare.
The biggest.
Which tier did you get?
I got the middle one.
The Pro?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Because
That's the one.
it seemed like the happy spot.
You like the extra RAM doesn't really affect anything. None of the cores use the 16 gig in the top end.
8, 12, and 16.
Yeah,
which
so
is
12 is more than enough. Like you can do PlayStation 2 emulation on 12.
Yeah, and you don't need this. You don't need the storage, but the 12 gigs was definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, 8's fine, but 12 is definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very excited to have yet another piece of technology that this time for sure I'm going to be using all the time. Now, I will say it is an Android platform,
Yes.
which is the good thing about it. Really, that I'm excited to.
Keeping it up to date is relatively trivial since
Yeah.
most of the things you get from the Play Store, and it keeps itself up to
Yeah.
date.
So I'm excited to try Destiny Rising on it. I think that's going to be a real big player on that platform because of the fact that I'm assuming it has some kind of controller fucking implementation. And it does have the fake one too, where you can.
I believe
you can
the words are "you hope."
well, you can assign button, like for instance, Genshin Impact still absolutely does not support controller support on Android.
You can drop buttons on
Yeah.
the screen, and it
it's
says
fine,
this presses this
which
button.
is it works. Nobody's really complaining about it. So anyway, it's supposed to. The biggest thing about it is that it's beautiful. Like I guess the display on it is just fucking gorgeous.
It's OLED, right?
Yes, it's a flat panel. The surface of it is completely
Glass
one
and
piece
flat.
of glass.
Yeah.
And just the buttons. So I'm excited to see it. I guess it's Smudge Magnet, but that's fine.
If you get me an SD card, I can just dump my card over for you, and it'll have everything on it.
I got similar shit, but yeah. Anyway, yeah. So that'll be in my grubby little paws, and then we can play with it on the podcast after next because I will not be here for the next podcast.
Fair enough. Now we know.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
that's it.
What you should do is leave me the portal so I can review it on the podcast
That's fair.
for you.
That's fair.
I mean, duties, Andrew. Come on. Okay, moving on from the Deck Nook. Other
This
tech
was
things.
hilarious.
Unnecessary fridge screen. I'm just reading. Unnecessary fridge screens get shut down by manufacturer. 200 million for shitty ad tech.
It is absolutely stunning how some idiot decided that the way to go was
Which grocery chain was this?
this was
Wegmans?
Safeway, I think. So this has been here too in Canada. I think
Walgreens.
7-Eleven had a similar setup where they put what I thought were going to be translucent screens or like see-through screens, but no, they basically turn the freezers into screens, which
you don't see what's in there.
Yeah.
You see what they want to show you, which is ads and then pictorial representations of what's
so
in there.
the idea is that the main thing you see.
Somebody called Paul Verhoeven.
The main thing you see is supposed to be a reflection of what is inside the cabinet.
Duh.
Which is fine, except you go up to it and you're like, let me see if they have, and then all of a sudden the entire display turns into a full ad, like a multi-screen advertisement, which has to stay there. It's like when you go to Tim Hortons, you can try to order something, and then the whole menu disappears to do a full splash
You'd be
ad.
surprised to learn that it's been a very long time.
So
But this is the kind of thing that happens.
there have been a couple moderate problems.
right.
It crashes on a bi-hourly basis.
Right.
And the units have been known to catch fire.
Right.
Which generally is not what you want to have happen in your freezer
No,
section.
no.
But what happened last month, I guess,
Walgreens stopped paying them because they were having huge problems.
right. They were like, well, we're not sure if we want to do this. And they went, oh, really? And they shut them down. But what that meant was they went black.
Yep.
So you couldn't see what was in the freezer.
Yep.
You had to open the door to take a look at what was going on in there. And on top of that, I think they had the prices on the door as well, so you wouldn't know how much shit was because they
Yep.
didn't bother pricing what was in there. Just top tier shit. You can't make this stuff up.
But they rolled it out like countrywide, and then it turned out to be a flaming shit show, literally in some cases. And now they've turned. They apparently they only turn it off on a small subset of stores as kind of a show of power.
Yeah.
So they're literally being held by the short and curlies by an ad television
And it's
company.
a $200 million lawsuit that they're looking at now because Walgreens decided that they didn't like it.
Yep.
Like, well, you signed a contract and you have to honor it. Or you could pay your minimum wage employees to go in there with a fucking scraper and just take that shit out and turn it into glass again, you ignorant fucks.
It's freezer as a service.
Jesus. It is just... You would talk about enshittification, which will come up in a minute. But
Exactly.
I mean, holy fucking shit. It is just, it was, when you first walked in and saw this, you went, oh, neat. Wait.
No,
Wait.
not neat.
Wait.
No,
For a
bad.
half a second, it was like, oh, this is interesting.
They literally reduced the usability of a glass doored freezer.
yeah. Now, I mean,
There's one thing, one thing
Yup.
that it needs to do is
Yup.
let me see what's in the cold.
this is on the surface, if it were see-through and it were AR, that would be one thing.
So if it was literal, like the transparent OLEDs or transparent LCDs, and you could see the stuff, and they just put prices
Superimpose
over
things.
it.
Yes.
And then, like, you walked up and you looked at a Coke, and it showed you a Coke ad with the Cokes behind it.
Sure.
Fine.
I still don't want to see
But-
the ad.
But, that would be
still,
ridiculously expensive.
you can still use
yeah.
your eyes to see if
Yes.
there is a Coke in there.
Yeah.
But it's a literal opaque television
obscuring what's
that could be on
contents.
fire. You don't know. And
Until you open the door.
And when they turn it off-
It's like some charming riddle.
the other thing is, it would go down and you wouldn't be able to see anything in it anyway. So it's default, it fails
the
to,
inscrutable
you can't
freezer.
see anything.
Just unreal. So anyway, it's just a beautiful application of enshittification.
Perfect. It's perfect.
So, hopefully that whole
It's 2025 in a
It is-
installation.
It's just
fucking
yep.
amazing.
Oh dear God.
I don't. How far does we go before enshittification hits the
Well,
next
it is-
step?
I mean, we got technically one thing, but this is kind of a good segue.
I think he meant as a society. How far do we have to go?
No. I meant the item.
Oh,
The
I
thing.
thought you meant as a society.
We got-
How much further do we have to go until we hit the next level?
I don't
of
want to think about
education?
that. I don't want to think about
We're
that.
way past that now. We got one thing, and then we got the
Okay.
thing.
In a lighter note,
So actually, it is. This is good news.
yes.
So because of the things that didn't happen over the past week or two,
And the masks coming off because of it.
yeah. Well, as Saint Ed of the Zitron has pointed out in his most excellent, most recent podcast about the history of Facebook, the mask was never on.
So people put a mask on him,
Yeah.
and he
Yes.
just started acting like a robot to let the mask sit there. But he has always been the douchiest of bros, and it was to creep on women is the reason he created Facebook.
That's why Facebook, exactly. I will say, as a bit of a side note, I know I keep preaching the gospel of Ed Zitron, and you're probably all sick of hearing it. I don't fucking care, because if you listen to nothing else, please go. His most recent Better Offline is a 2-parter about Facebook. The first part has an intro. If you listen to nothing else he's ever done, please listen to the intro of, and it's not even about Facebook, it's about stuff that happened recently. If you were ever, here's a little teaser, if you were ever in question of whether Ed Zitron supported trans people, this eliminates all doubt. It is the most fire I have ever heard from Ed, and Ed is made of fire. So it is. I wanted to hug him after this. It was the best thing I've ever heard. Anyway, so because of this stuff that didn't happen, people are looking for alternative platforms to go to again.
Yep.
Because this is an ongoing process, and it's been happening for a while, for a couple of years now. And it's good and it's healthy, because people who would never have contemplated it before are finally at their breaking point,
Yes.
where they're going, like, even mainstream people who don't really understand how any of this works. Because up until now, alternate platforms have always been for the nerdy people who kind of are technically oriented and who...
Well, a lot of times it getting on them is a non-trivial thing.
There's enough clicks. There's
Surface
enough
tension, like
barriers to entry.
You go to look at it, and like you kind of poke at it, and you can't reach it through the layers. So you're just like, okay, this is clearly not for me, and you go away. So,
but there's been enough of the horribleness that people are going, okay, I can't stomach this anymore. We reached my line. Let's find something else. So, of course, because now Instagram, owned by Meta, is starting to bleed users.
Yes.
The users are looking for somewhere else to go. And the other where else there is to go is the Fediverse-based platform PixelFed.
yes.
And they are having a moment. I only recently learned that Dan, the lead developer, is Canadian.
Yeah.
I did not know that. I'm not normally one given to nationalism, but I'll make an exception in this case.
It's nice to see, and they've launched a Kickstarter to help fund development.
The thing. They, of course, had a huge influx of users, and things kind of got rocky there for a little while because they were not ready
it's
for
like
this.
Blue Sky. It's like Mastodon. Everything strains under the load when people start leaving.
But the great part is they launched a Kickstarter because Dan is also launching Loops, which is a TikTok competitor.
A looping video.
But again, based on the Fediverse, it uses ActivityPub as a protocol, and
I mean, it's got to sit on a server. Somebody's got to pay for the server.
That's
bills.
exactly it.
Yeah.
Then, of course, the nice thing about the Fediverse is because it's distributed, you can balance the load out, you can spread it around, right? But. And also the whole idea, the very concept of decentralization, this includes Blue Sky as well, is starting to pick up some traction because people are kind of realizing, look, if one shitty dude owns the thing, we have no choice.
Yep.
Right. And so if one shitty dude doesn't own the thing, then we do have a choice. And that's the real difference. That's
I think
the only difference.
Single best thing that happened for Blue Sky was Jack Dorsey leaving, because you don't need another cult of personality at a project like that.
Absolutely.
And they've opened the AT protocol and everything, so like it's out there. So even if Blue Sky, the singular instance, does crumble, other ones can be spun up on
I will say, as somebody who is kind of I won't say deep in, but I am deeply interested in this world. Blue Sky got its problems. Don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
Blue Sky is far from the utopia. However,
but they give you tools that nowhere else does that to help moderate your own content.
Yes.
So when you block someone, it's an actual block as opposed to a super or a cosmetic one.
Yes, exactly. The level of decentralization in Blue Sky is still up for grabs, and there's a very good academic paper actually that was recently published about how decentralized really is Blue Sky, because it kind of isn't really.
Yeah.
The AT protocol is, but Blue Sky itself, the thing we call Blue Sky, really kind of isn't. It is still dependent on a single server, and this is why there is like a single group of people who can decide what the moderation policies are, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
However, that's a whole other side discussion. The point is, PixelFed/Loops is currently having a moment. They launched a Kickstarter. Within 13 hours, the Kickstarter was funded.
Yeah.
They're doing well.
Yeah.
Things are looking good and up for decentralized platforms in general. This is a very, if you take away nothing else from the shit that happened or didn't happen this week, it's that there is a response. Now, the thing that I keep thinking is like, yeah, it's not enough of a response. No, the mainstream is always going to be the mainstream. But what is happening is we are seeing the beginnings and the birth of a real counterculture to this. Culture always begins in the counterculture and then goes to the mainstream, and then that cycles back around. It's a continual loop that keeps going around.
Major news outlets announcing that they were no longer going to have the Twitter presence, things like that. Like it's getting steam. People are leaving the larger corporate controlled platforms. So
well, they were only looking for 50,000 Canadian.
Yeah, so this is to fund development and to help defer costs and everything.
I mean, because you got to remember the main PixelFed server, that costs a lot of money. But the point is that it's decentralized.
Yeah.
Anybody can spin. I could spin up a server for PixelFed if I wanted to. Like this is the beauty of decentralized platforms.
But it's mainly for development and getting bodies and stuff.
To pay people to work on this stuff. Yeah. This is the whole point. This is one of the things that, the famous XKCD comic of like, this is what the entire internet rests on, this one, piece of software maintained by a guy in Schenectady who like makes no money out of it, right? If you can actually pay the developers to work on this stuff, then this stuff will be bulletproof and it will be robust and it will be helpful and everybody benefits.
So they have 1,254 current backers. 87,000 Canadian for kicking it off. The project runs till March 8th, which is surprising.
Well, they usually have it a long runway. They didn't know when they'd hit 50,000 Canadian. So,
but I think that means that they won't get anything until it's over.
Yeah, but I mean, they're existing on what they're currently existing.
Yeah, it's only going to go up from there. That's the point.
They had a giant first day, a much smaller second day, and an even smaller third
sure, because
day.
they hit their goal, right? Yeah. Like that's, of course.
Got what they needed.
It's good news. It is all, this part, at least, of the narrative is all good news. Decentralized platforms in general are on the rise, and it is good and healthy. And if you are and this is one of the things I'm seeing is like people who were before super hesitant or who bounced off of Mastodon or whatever are kind of going, okay, I don't know how this stuff works, but maybe I should try to learn because there's no other choice.
Yeah.
Right. Where the people who have an ounce of ethics are now boxed into a corner who there is no other choice.
Yeah.
This is the only thing to do. If you want to continue to live your life and have an online presence, this is the only ethical choice.
Yeah.
And that's where we are now. So anyway, speaking of enshittification.
Ooh.
So I had this 3D printer that I really liked it. I've talked about quite a few times on this very podcast.
Sorry, I know we're about to get into that, but I'm just looking at the Kickstarter for PixelFed. Yeah. Do you know what their WhatsApp program is called?
No.
Sup.
Nice.
Well, Dan, his last name begins with SUP.
Yeah.
So that's probably why.
It's kind of amazing. Sorry,
No.
I thought that was worth mentioning.
That is absolutely
Sup, period. Sup, period.
Yeah.
Sup.
Yeah. So Bamboo Labs did a thing. This boy, did they ever?
Yeah.
I'm still a little unclear about exactly how this all went down, but they released a new firmware
Yeah.
that locked third-party.
You can't use third-party slicers.
So it locked people into a new authentication system that
Yeah.
has to go through their cloud servers before you can do anything.
And you can only use the slicers that have cut deals with Bamboo.
Yeah, which is none because it's
Yeah.
their own software. Here is now, we all knew, anybody with eyes knew that this was coming because this is following the classic pattern.
Yeah.
Right. This is
Come up with a good service.
make a good thing.
Yep.
Make it so a lot of people buy the good thing.
Well, it was such a good turnkey 3D printer. Like, you'd get it, you take it out of the box, it's together, you plug it in, you're basically printing.
You're exactly right. And that is why, so it got such a good rep.
And
right?
that it got into so many hands, and people are, it's just such a good tool for that. And now they're changing the rules of the deal.
Yeah,
Pray they don't change it further.
This is the rug pull, right?
Yeah.
This is the whole, okay, the enshittification goal is always the same. We make a good thing, get a lot of people into it, lock people into our ecosystem, make it so they can't go anywhere else.
Create an API, charge access to the API.
And then we start either charging more
Mm-hmm.
or we start removing services and charging for those.
Well, it was supposedly kicked off because of the vulnerability.
This is always the excuse, though. This is always,
and that's it. That's the question: was it just using that as an excuse?
You know what would make it so we could test that if it were open source, but it's not.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's the thing. Is it forced their hand? They were like, "Well, we are a business, so we're going to make it."
They were always. This was my hesitation for.
You don't roll out a advanced pay-to-use API system for a vulnerability.
Yeah.
This is we've been wanting to do this for a while. We've had it sitting on the oven.
This was our
and
plan.
This was the
and our
reason.
hand was forced by this.
This is what Walmart did. This is what Amazon did. This
Because
is what they all do.
People got a message on their 3D printers that said, "Hi, your 3D printer is vulnerable. I just thought you should know." And it had a picture of a
Update your
snake.
firmware.
Basically, or take your shit offline is basically what it was really saying. But that's supposedly what kicked off all of this was the fact that somebody did point out. And I don't think it targeted Bamboo. I'm not sure which printers were exactly affected by this, but that's what kind of kicked off the acceleration of the plan. And yeah, obviously you're talking about 3D printing. Who's into 3D printing these days?
This is where I think that they miscalculated.
Yeah, big
because like the playbook, the enshittification playbook says you make a good thing, you get a lot of people locked into your ecosystem, you acquire or eliminate the competition.
Mm-hmm.
That is a key factor, so people can't go anywhere else. Then you start charging more and doing whatever, all the bullshit. That's the part they didn't do, right? Or they didn't do enough because, like, A, there are still lots of alternatives, and B, you are talking about a user base that this is full of Linux nerds, dude.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to tear this shit apart.
I'm literally surprised they didn't try to lock people to their filament brand, saying, the impurities in other filament can harm your nozzle.
They kind of do.
Yeah.
Let me tell you. Oh, this is fun. Oh, I got a little story. So, for the AMS, the multi-filament system, right, which I do have.
Yeah.
They have a neat thing whereby if you buy their filament,
It's got like QR codes on it that the printer will recognize.
Yeah, you put it on the thing and it just knows what that filament
Yeah.
is. You don't have to do anything. It just loads it up. It's all good. What it is an RFID chip,
Yeah, okay, so
right? But
people sell ARFID spools you can put your own stuff on.
I just finished a spool of bamboo filament, and I was fucked if I was going to buy any more based after all this shit went down. So I bought some regular stuff, but I'm like, after I unwound, like I finished the spool of the Bamboo Labs, I looked at it and went, what's this? I pulled out a cardboard tube. The cardboard tube had 2 ARFID chips on it. Guess what happens when you put those ARFID chips on a non-Bamboo Labs filament? Oh, it thinks it's Bamboo Lab filament.
Yep. I was just wondering if people just made spool centers that had the different ARFID
I wouldn't be surprised if they do,
qualifiers.
because like it is unbelievably easy to spoof. It is like, nah, it's just these dudes are amateurs at this shit. Like they are not good at this, and that's why the blowback has happened. So yeah, people went fuck no.
Yeah.
So the first thing that you can do if you do have a Bamboo Labs printer is don't update your firmware if it asks you to. Don't do that. Use LAN mode only, which thankfully is still an option.
Because that's all you were doing anyway. Right?
I wasn't actually. I was going to the cloud service because it's handy.
Yeah, you don't have to transfer stuff
Yeah,
to
exactly. And the thing is, their slicer is really quite good. Like everything that the problem is the things that they make are good. So that's what I was just using.
I wonder if people are going to figure out a way to downgrade the firmware to the previous one.
No doubt. They're going to make custom firmwares for this thing.
Eventually, yes. But the problem with closed source stuff is it takes a lot longer to figure out where to put your payload to get the custom firmware
for sure.
in.
But somebody will do it. Like,
absolutely. Ghidorah exists.
Yeah, no, war were declared. That's where we are now.
Can I just let you all know about a little man named Josef Prusa? He has open sourced the printer design and the software, but if you buy it from him, you'll get it built, and he is happy to help you.
Just an shitification side note. So today I'm a subscriber to The Onion. I get the actual physical copy of The Onion from them. So I'm part of the Illuminati or whatever they call it. I can't remember exactly the term for it.
I think I know the story you're about to tell, but
okay. So today they sent out their newsletter with a couple of headlines, and then one of them was "Monster devastated to see film depicting things he told Guillermo del Toro in confidence." For that, they used what is clearly an AI generated image of a monster, and I noticed that, and I went, fuck, come on, guys, that's some bullshit right there. And I was disappointed. I don't know why. I just opened up Blue Sky for a minute just to quickly check things out, and sure enough, Tim Onion, Ben Collins, who purchased The Onion. Hi, quick note. The Onion accidentally posted a stock photo from a vendor with an AI-generated image in it. We pulled the post down once we found that out. Our commitment to not using AI is very real. It's in the union contract to disclose it if we ever do. World is a slop minefield, and we're sorry. So, and Ed responded, interesting. And for those of us that liked it, what are we to you? Pigs? Little pigs? Fucking Ed. Ed is such a fucking troll. This motherfucker.
What are you? Pigs? No, pigs?
Oh, what if we like the image? Huh? What about that? You fucker. You fucking asshole. Anyway, this is just, I love how fast shit moves today. You know, the fact that he jumped on this. He said, no, we fucked up. And because it was so clearly an AI bullshit image, and I was disappointed. And they owned it. They admitted it, and they dealt with it.
It was probably given to some intern or something.
Sure. It was just, we need a picture of a monster. And they didn't catch the Shutterstock, because that's part of their gimmick, is they like to use Shutterstock stuff.
They use what are the image morgues? They're called image morgues.
Yes, that's good.
And they go to there and they say monster, and they find, so he clearly had the orders of, we need a sad monster, and this one came up, and they did not have enough gorm to say, is this an AI generated one?
Somebody didn't catch that it was AI. That's understandable.
Yeah, so it's great that they immediately jumped on it and said nope. We fucked that up.
It's good to say that the union clause has clauses about disclosing AI use.
It's so fucking easy nowadays. Where these and a company like that, and so many of them would just do it, and they don't give a fuck. It's just weird shit. Like the image itself that I just showed Kevin, the monster looked fine, but it was like he was supposed to be sitting in a living room, and behind him there was a lamp, and behind his other shoulder there was another lamp. Like, what the fuck? Just dumb shit like that. That's the kind of shit that AI does.
Listen, he's two lamps monster. What do you want?
Jesus, just little things, or what make you go, hang on, wait, what?
New character for the Oracle. Two lamp monster.
As the short little thing for Gizmo Town, over the holidays, someone in the Mr. Discord linked the Genki Shadowcast 2. And I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I looked at it, and I thought, this looks kind of really awesome. So it's basically an Elgato the size of the end of an HDMI plug. Ooh. And you plug in a USB-C cable into it, and you plug that into a USB-C compatible computer, and you get 1080p, 60 frames a second video and audio from anything with an HDMI plug.
Really?
It is.
I am deeply interested in
it. It is literal magic. It does not look like it is big enough to do anything. I think it'll do 1440 as well, but I don't think it works at 60 frames a second.
I only need 1080, baby.
But it is tiny. I got it on sale for $50 on their winter sale.
60 frames.
Yes, the 1080p, 60 frames a second.
Dear Lord.
And it's just USB-C to USB-C, and they give you a high-speed, high data rate USB-C cable for it.
Pass through or
no? So it's its own thing. It
okay,
doesn't. It's basically just a dongle with a USB-C plug. But I'm going to use it at work for hooking up my HDMI modded Amiga. If I bring a Mister to work and I want to be able to do stuff there, I'll just have it plugged in, and then you just open OBS and put it as a source, and you've got everything right there.
Gotcha.
It's stupid easy. It's really good, and I do not know how they've developed this, but it is like, if you want to throw like the Mister onto a stream, I mean, you won't have pass through, unfortunately, unless you use like the analog out VGA or something. But just really, it's baffling how good it is, and I'm really pleased with it. I hooked my Steam Deck up to it and was doing the updates and everything through OBS, and then fired up Diablo just to take a look at it, and it was amazing.
Very nice.
Very, very interesting.
They're still available? Question mark?
Yes, they are. There's also a Pro model, which is more like an Elgato, and that might have pass through.
Right.
But there's this little dongle one. It's mind blowing. I have no idea.
I mean, honestly, I'm okay because I've already got like a 4K 60 Elgato capture device.
Yeah.
But I hate it. I hate it because it's fucking Elgato.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's really neat. I'll dig up the link and I'll add it to the show notes.
Thank you very much. All right. After that, I think we are done. Oh, wait, no, one more thing. I almost forgot the thing that is actually our thing.
Yes.
We have, but wait, there's one more thing, and I'm going to pull out a manila envelope. So I was debating about this for a while, but I finally ended up doing it because what the hell? So as you know, as I've talked about frequently, and eventually we will, I swear, do, Pixels and Puppets is spinning off into its own kind of thing that we will occasionally do some streaming and some videos for. There is still stuff up there already. There is a YouTube channel, there's a PeerTube channel, and now there is a Twitch channel as well.
Fantastic.
I wasn't going to make a Twitch channel because I was kind of like, well, come on, who's really going to watch? It's like, we're going to get a viewer if we're lucky, but who even knows? But I just figured, well, I'm multi-streaming anyway. Might as well just send it to Twitch and see if anybody shows up. Who knows? That is now a thing. So if you are on Twitch and you want to follow Pixels and Puppets, we will eventually be streaming some tech and gaming stuff.
I can assure you.
We were supposed to go last week, and both JB and I were not in stream-worthy shape. We had plans to go.
Yeah.
We were gonna railjack. It was gonna be great, and then we were both like, "Oh fuck, I feel like shit."
That was on me. I had a terrible sleep.
It was
that
also
night.
on me. Like I would have been able to do it, but I would not have enjoyed it. It was the right call to call it off. So
yeah, I'm the way I felt. I'm like, I'm not going to be, entertaining.
Yeah, exactly. I know what you mean. So yeah, we will be doing some stuff on the Pixels and Puppets channels eventually, but you can jump in and get in early with the cool people or something there. So the link is in the show notes as always. Okay, that will do it for Gizmo Town. Wow, it's a long one. We are going to take a quick break, and we will be back with Pixels and Tokens.
Video games.
Board games.
Video games.
Tabletop role-playing games.
Video games.
And now for Pixels and Tokens, where we talk about all kinds of gaming.
But mostly video games.
Welcome to Pixels and Tokens, where we talk about gaming and things related to gaming and gaming culture and all of the good gaming stuff, starting with someone else will have to take the lead here because
Andrew's gonna have to do it because I didn't even get the truth.
So when this was happening, I was deep in the puppet mines. This was mid me recovering from the puppet crisis.
So the Xbox developers,
Direct.
Thank you. I was just at work and I was looking up things and it's like, here's how to watch the developer direct. I'm like, oh, is that it? Oh shit, it's happening now. Fuck. And I jumped in and it was 106 and it started at 1 and they were in the middle of their Ninja Gaiden 4 reveal. I'm like, holy fuck, really? Jesus, okay. Out of nowhere, and it's being developed with Platinum Games, the legendary developer behind Bayonetta.
Wow.
I mean, I'm sure everybody there was, and so they obviously, this has been in development for several years. How the fuck did they keep this shit quiet?
That's a good trick.
I mean, holy shit. Like, oh, by the way, we've been developing Ninja Gaiden fucking 4 for the last 3 years. Holy shit, because it's coming out in the fall.
Also, here's a remaster of Ninja Gaiden 2 for you on
like they literally, there's just one more thing at the, and I like that they led with this in the develop. Like last time they did one of these, the surprise one was at the end of the stream. This one they opened with it and just went, by the way, motherfuckers, who wants Ninja Gaiden 4? Boom. I mean, okay, now I like the existence of Ninja Gaiden. I suck at Ninja Gaiden. It's an action game. It's cool as shit. Okay, well, you remember the NES game.
The original NES game was a run left and swing sword.
It was the first.
Run right.
I'm gonna go on a limb here. I'm gonna say it was the first extremely difficult video game. Like the first game that was punishing in it as an action title. First, it was a side scroller, but it had this coolest shit vibe to it. Like the anime, it had cutscenes. In an NES game, it had cutscenes. It was unreal. I sucked at it. I never finished it, but I respected it. I said, I suck at this. I wish I was good at it. I'm not going to play it, but I'm glad it exists. And they made a couple.
There was one on the Genesis.
And they've done a bunch. And then they did some launches on. I think the Xbox had a Ninja Gaiden game.
Yeah,
and
Ninja Gaiden Black. I think
well,
was one of the first
Ninja Gaiden 2 was on 360. So at the end of the stream talking about Ninja Gaiden 4, they went, oh, by the way, we also remastered Ninja Gaiden 2 Black for the current generation, and it's out now.
Yeah.
Boom. Just like
on
that.
Game Pass.
Like fucking have that, kids. And just gifts for everyone. Here are gifts for all to enjoy. It's like, Jesus Christ. Just out of nowhere to announce this shit. So amazing. Just amazing. And, Ninja Gaiden 4 looks incredible. What's weird about it is it's set in like a futuristic Tokyo that's gone to shit, like some kind of weird alien invasion.
I think it ties into like the bad ending of 3 or something like that.
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, it's basically just Tokyo's been taken over by demons, but also it's in the future. So half of it looks like Ghost Runner, which is a very cool. I don't know if you're familiar with it. So
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, so it's
the vibe of it.
It's very much a reversal scenario, and then you get into the action bits. At first I was like, oh, they're going to show everybody how we do Demon Souls back in the day. It's going to be difficult, but it's not going to be that difficult. But it's still challenging. Anyway, it's beautiful. It looks fantastic.
You don't play as Ryu Hayabusa, at least not right away.
I think they jump back and forth between past and the future or some shit.
It's a new character, which is interesting.
So, and the fact that they announced its existence as a complete fucking surprise. Jeff Keighley, who? Fuck Jeff Keighley, I guess. It's nice that there's still surprises to be had.
They played this one close to the chest. Because if anyone got a whiff, it would have been everywhere.
Oh my God. So, the fact that they managed to keep that shit secret. Platinum Games working on Ninja Gaiden. Jesus Christ. So that was their big launch announcement for this. And I like how they do these because they do 4 developers, and it's a developer dive. They talk to the developers. Right. They don't. It's not just hype. It's let's talk to the people that are actually making the game. Get right into it. The production quality of the coverage of the developers was crazy good. Yeah. Like they were doing some super dynamic camera work. It was really kind of insane. So the second one was the South of Midnight developers. So if you were going to make a game about the deep down in the bayou, you're familiar with this. They showed it in the Game Pass. The one that's got super Cajun vibes, the voodoo shit. It's like a mix of. It kind of looks like claymation at times, but then it's got some smooth action. It's extremely bluesy vibe to it. Right. So anyway, it's being developed by a company from fucking Montreal.
Of course. Who knows the blues like people from Montreal?
It's funny, but it looks great. There's a lot of love in this game.
This was very focused on a single character that does the swamp magic. So
So it looks like it'll be a very cool game. It looks like it's a 3D, it's third person action by and large, but there's a massive amount of customization for the skill tree. It looks great, and again, that one's coming in April. April 8th was when that one launches.
And then we got this podcast note about a French testicle game.
Yes, so Operation 33, I can't remember. I think I wrote it down. It's in the Discord. Anyway, the third game is what if JRPG but French? Which is just crazy, like French as
I didn't think anything could get less mean.
Oh my God!
Wow, it just did.
You play Jerry Lewis.
It's like
with cloud hair and a Buster Sword.
Because it feels like a Persona game, the very JRPG, but it is French as fuck.
The note was French as balls.
I said French as balls, but it's true. I mean, it is just because it uses. Painting is a huge influence for it. Like everything is about artistry, and like the artistry involved in the game is insane. Like the level design is nuts, and every area you go to is completely different in aesthetics. But it's a very BD influence, bande dessinée influence to it. It looks nuts, and that comes out 2 weeks after South of Midnight, and it's a Game Pass title again. But it looks bananas, and it was great because you go from it's kind of funny because you went from the Montreal developer, and then you go to a France developer for this third one from Japan in the first one. So it's just kind of funny, and so with that much international flair, they're like, all right, that's enough of that.
It's almost like America has no culture.
Let's come back to America for the real shit, and they went to the Doom Dark Ages for the Austin Bethesda, and it looks sick. It looks so cool. It's a prequel to Doom 2016. Very much what if Doom, but in a medieval setting, but also still Doom. So they're heavily focusing on the shield, the shield saw they call it.
This is supposed to feel more like original Doom. Like you're supposed to be able to stand and shoot. Like it's not so much you have to be moving.
Right. And the strafing is a big part.
You can root and shoot, but there's like the strafing. It's more.
Okay, now I'm interested.
It's not as finicky as 2016 or Doom Eternal.
I really like 2016.
Yeah. No, but this one's more. You're supposed to feel like those ones. You're supposed to feel like a plane. This one you're supposed to feel like a tank.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Like an iron tank. It was the
description. Yeah.
Doom 2016 was a jet fighter. This is an iron tank.
Yeah.
And it does look cool as shit. I mean, the shield saw looks very cool. That's your main defensive and offensive weapon, but you also have a hammer, and then you've also got the guns. The guns are there. The guns look medieval as shit, but also still extremely Doom. it looks like a lot of fun and a very different game from the 2016.
ID has found the joy in Doom again.
Yeah,
and it's kind of really good.
It's really a tremendous. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and and then of course, I should say, of course, not only are you badass Doom guy, you also pilot a giant fucking robot version of yourself, even in a medieval setting, taking on the demons. But it does, the story does lead into the events of Doom, basically. So it really is. It looks like a lot of fun. It's a great new direction.
Is that going to be Game Pass?
Yes. So all 4 of those are Game Pass titles. And again, it's a really nice look at the people who make the titles as well. It's not just about the game; it's about the people who make them. So it's great. It's great to see those people represented and showing the passion that they have. And everybody was super happy with the result, and that's coming out in May. So these are fairly quick releases, and even the fact that Ninja Gaiden's been in development for long enough that it's coming out in the fall is crazy. And nobody's expecting it to be the greatest game of all time. It's a fucking Ninja Gaiden.
It's going to be a good
platinum exactly. Ninja Gaiden. It'll be a good 10-12 hour experience. You'll go apeshit.
It's going to have some style.
It's going to have gore out the wazoo.
Yeah.
You get it's a game where you have a katana and you cut motherfuckers in half and in thirds and quarters and eighths and just leave pieces behind.
Well, they also did Metal Gear Rising, which had the cut and take thing where you could literally cube enemies in slow-mo.
I never did play Revengeance.
Revengeance, yes, sorry, that's it. I have it on this. It plays really good on the Steam Deck.
Yeah, it's one of those games that's kind of been
If you ever use the Steam Deck, you should install it on a Steam Deck.
It was a PS3 game. They did a 360 version.
Oh, yeah, too, but it's also on the PC. Which
they did a PC release.
Yeah,
okay,
that's
good.
how you're playing it on the Steam Deck.
Cool. But
it goes to $5 all the time.
Yeah, no, I know. Even the hard copy went dirt cheap. But yeah, it was. I don't know if they announced that this was happening.
I don't think they did, because it did kind of take a lot of people by surprise.
I think there was a kind of a like last week or the week before they had said something about it, but the date completely escaped me. And I got caught actually having to do work when it happened. So
anyway, it was a great show. They had they did the production was nuts. I was really surprised by some of the camera work that they were doing in the studios. It was something else.
Oh, it's nice. It is nice, and I say this as somebody who's no longer in that ecosystem. It is nice to see Xbox get a win for a change.
Yeah, no, and that it was definitely a win. I mean, everybody was extremely pleased with the end result.
I mean, all the coverage I've seen was like, "Wow, this actually looks really cool."
Yeah.
So
no, it was great. So that was nice. It was a nice surprise, and a lot of good stuff came out of it. So, and it was just 4 games. It wasn't an onslaught of announcements. It was just one major surprise
and it's nice
2 major
surprises.
And
it might have been some puff footage, but it was the developers talking about it as opposed to marketing people, which is nice.
And the Operation 33, it does look incredibly unique. And it's definitely worth a look at the very least. I mean, I would definitely recommend firing up the whole shebang. I don't think I put it in the show notes. They also had a first look at the new title from the director of Witcher 3. Did I put this in the show notes?
Did.
Okay,
yes.
so we can sit on that for a minute.
The next line reads extremely Andrew. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 3 won't be a PS6 exclusive, producer promises, is an actual headline.
That's it. I mean, somebody actually put it to the producer. So I was under the impression that the Part 3. So again, just to roll back, when they announced that they were doing a remake of Final Fantasy VII, this is going way back.
On PlayStation 1, they managed to fit Final Fantasy VII on 2 CDs. 3 CDs?
Yeah. It's really 2.5 because the third one didn't have much on it, but it was.
But when they come to remake it, even though they have the boundless storage of the internet to contain it, it has to come out in 3 parts.
So, as I've said before, in my estimation, they grossly over aimed for whatever they were trying to do with this fucking thing. All I wanted was a nice high definition version of Final Fantasy VII. That's all I wanted.
Just make it feature creep.
Well, this is it. I mean, there's feature creep, and then there's this. I mean, holy Jesus,
this is scope drift.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the whole first game was just effectively the first disc of the series of the game. Sorry, not the series, the game.
The single game that came out at one time.
Is there even a series anymore?
So
what even is this?
It is just. I mean, on the surface, the one way to look at it is that it's a corporation. They said, how much money can we make out of this? And they said, well, let me see. It's
the Hobbit scenario.
Very much so.
Let's turn one book into 3 movies.
Very much feels like a Hobbit situation.
Right.
So now, having said that, the first game was successful. The second game was also successful, but maybe not as successful as they'd hoped. Largely because
wasn't it 9 years between them?
They kept it on the PlayStation platform, which was incredibly stupid. I mean, again, it was part of that legacy console war bullshit where Sony got the lockdown on the first version of it, and there was no good reason for it, but whatever. And they suffered as a result. And Square Enix left a lot of money on the table because of the fact that they didn't make it at launch for all platforms. So that's why just now Rebirth is being released on PC. Now, of course, they're finally talking about making an Xbox version as well, because of course they are. So I was under the impression that the third part was under development at the same time as Rebirth, and that wouldn't be as big a window. No, that's not the fucking case. So the news article that came out this week, basically the producer said they began production on part 3 as soon as they finished Rebirth, which means they've been developing it for 9 months. And even Rebirth took 3 years beyond after the launch of Final Fantasy Remake. Like, Jesus Christ. I didn't think it was going to take this fucking long to do this. And now again, Rebirth is not a small game. It is colossal. Like when I made the reference earlier about how the guy bought a PS5 just to play it and never got through it. It's because it's a huge game. They've added a lot to it, and it's not just puffery. There's just more to do. It's a shit ton of content in one game. It's overwhelming how much they've added to this game.
But the headline states it's not a PS6.
So some motherfucker said, now the first part was a PS4 game that came out at the end of the PS4 life cycle, and the PS5 was coming out. So obviously the discussion was, are you just going to punt this to PS5? And they said, fuck no, we spent too much money on this to put it on the new platform. We have to make it available on the 4. And then they immediately went, yeah, but you really play it, you got to play it on PS5. You got to get the upgraded version. Yeah. So they released the upgraded version of 7 Remake as Rebirth was about to come out. And Jesus Christ, it never stops with these motherfuckers. So, of course, the discussion had to become, we're coming to the end of the PS5 life cycle because fuck you for even suggesting that we're at the end of the PS5 life cycle.
Oh, we are.
Just shut up. Stop saying it. I don't want to hear it.
We are.
So, if they're saying, well, no, here's the thing, though.
See that white monolith over there?
Now, but honestly,
it's over.
If you're telling me that they've only been in development on this fucker for 9 months, then we could be looking at a 3-year window on that, which absolutely suggests that by the time it comes out, the PS6 will be coming out. So
may I offer another headline I didn't put in the show notes, but I saw this week was that AMD has finalized the APU for the PS6.
Sure, why not?
It's ready. It's ready to go.
Wow.
They know exactly what it is.
So, I mean, of course somebody's going to say, because the same discussion's been had about Grand Theft Auto 6. Like, why not just sit on it until the next gen hardware? Because obviously you want to use it. So they had to
get them AI frames.
They had to put it to the producer, and the producer had to say, no, of course we're not going to make it a fucking PS6 launch title. But of course, when the PS6 comes out, that's going to be the way you're going to want to play it, because they're going to have
they need something.
They're going to squeeze it. And I mean, even with the first remake for 7, when it came out, and you knew that it's like, sure, it runs fine on the PS4, but obviously the PS5 is going to be a better experience. And then they did the fully upgraded version afterwards, which still only ran at fucking 30, because of course it did. So, let's choose performance mode, and then it runs at 60. Anyway.
So is this a game or a millstone?
Oh my
I
lord!
don't even
it feels
know
like
anymore.
it at this point.
I mean, all I hear is, Kevin, you made the right choice in never playing any Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So as I said, everybody's quite pleased with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which was the second part. I just didn't think it was going to take another 3 fucking years for them to finish the remake of Final Fantasy VII.
And then 3 years after that, you'll be able to buy it all as a single unit.
Right, on the PS6, the fully remastered full Final Fantasy VII, just as the Final Fantasy VIII remake kicks off part 1 of 7.
I wonder what color the PS6 will be.
Anyway,
I don't know why I said that.
What if it's RGB?
You know,
What if it's clear?
all RGB?
Oh, transparent. That would be cool.
Fuck,
And then,
man, I'm
like,
already in.
RGB.
Yeah. Anyway, I just thought the fact that this was an actual fucking headline is that Final Fantasy VII Part 3 will not be a PS6 exclusive. Like,
We're here, man. It's
just
ready. It's
fucking
ready. We're ready
leave
to
me
go.
alone.
Just saddle up the horses. We're riding. Let's go.
In other Sony news,
Oh, no.
they murdered a lot of live service games that were
It's okay.
in utero.
It's good news.
They had announced, or not even announced, they had, I guess,
They had failed to announce.
they had
Yeah.
basically said to, I assume, to shareholders some time ago that they were expecting to release 12 live service games by March 2026.
So this is the Jim Ryan era.
Oh,
Jim
right.
Ryan was all in on live service.
The
He was
guy.
the one who organized the buying of Bungie.
Oh, yeah.
Bungie was going to be their cat's paw to push live service into everything.
because that was 2 of the titles.
They wanted Horizon. They wanted Last of Us. They wanted God of War.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was going to have a live service where it would, in theory,
How many Kratoses can you fit on
go
this map?
forever.
Infinite money for everybody.
And one of the things that Jim Ryan greenlit was a little game called Concord. And Concord, I mean, the team they had was a perfectly cromulent team. The problem was it was a different live service genre every 6 weeks, and they were refactoring forever. The reason it was $200 million is because at one point it was a MOBA, at one point it was just a team shooter, and then it became a hero shooter. So they didn't have a chance to make a game. They were forever adapting to the corporate whim.
Yeah.
And it came out, and 11 people played it, and Sony saw the Steam charts were at 11 people and literally pulled the plug. They won't say how many people played it on PS4, but if they pulled the plug on it like the week it came out, probably not great.
Now,
PS5, sorry.
So when they shit canned the Last of Us multiplayer game, I was surprised because that did feel like a world where you could get away with it. You could have some sort of a live service, some sort of, even if it was more of a PUBG kind of an environment, there was at least a theoretical application where there was a simple game to be had.
The shareholders were not seeing value.
That's all. That's
Right.
all that matters.
So
And they yoinked that one months ago.
the one game failed abysmally. And now live service is poison in the eyes of the people who sit on the board.
This is a very good illustration of what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
The fact that Concord wasn't even given a chance to succeed. It was fucking weak.
It had, to all accounts, a really good universe, and they had long-term plans for it. It's just the game they wanted to make wasn't the game they were allowed to make.
It would be really funny if they just decided to make a movie set in that universe, and it turned out to be a huge success.
This is what I said about Overwatch, but the whole we were talking about this in the Discord. The fact that live service games and MMO style games in general are long-term investments. They need to be marathons, not sprints.
And it also things go in waves.
Yeah.
And you'll have a big pile on, like World of Warcraft. Ton of people got it in vanilla, and they rode the crest of the wave up through the Burning Crusade, and then they got to the Lich King, and then Mists of Pandaria, and everything started to kind of trend downwards a little, so they hit a bit of a trough.
Everybody was tired of it.
The original people that got on all were falling off by like the third or fourth X
burnout,
pack.
just pure
and
burnout.
then they came up with something, and new people would come in, and the population would go up. It's the same with Destiny, although Destiny is very much a sawtooth rather than a sine wave.
It's kind of hilarious when
And
you look at
it's-
the numbers.
And it's big amplitude, whereas
Oh, God.
World of Warcraft, I think, never got below 10 million players
Well, I
once they
think
got
I
big.
think it did.
Did it?
Yeah.
Horizon
It
was
took a
looking-
while.
Horizon, it was an MMO in development.
Yes,
Right.
but
And that's-
still, MMO is a live service.
Right.
The game progresses.
Yes, and that's a very different element. Whereas other ones, they were specifically calling them live service. Like
Yeah.
the God of War game was supposed to be a live service
game.
title.
Right.
And this goes back to, so the one that surprised me last year that they announced that they shit canned before announcing it was the Spider-Man one.
Yeah.
Because it leaned into the multiverse. Like, in the multiverse absolutely leans into the
Sure.
idea of a live service game. You could easily run that. But obviously whatever they had developed, they just said, no, fuck it.
And then they looked at the Marvel heroes.
Who knows?
Through Marvel's Avengers.
You'll never get a
sorry.
legitimate answer about why they decided they
But
weren't going
it's
anywhere.
they've canceled the Horizon game.
Yeah.
They've canceled the God of War game. They've canceled the multiplayer Last of Us game.
It all comes down to the fact that nobody wants a long-term investment. Everybody wants
Yeah.
money now or else no.
Well, yeah, they don't want to wait for the critical mass to accumulate. They want everyone to feeding frenzy on it immediately, and then keep paying forever.
If it's not viral, it's a failure.
Yeah.
That is
Second
the
win-
thing. There's
Yeah.
no middle ground.
Yeah.
There's no just like enough.
Yeah.
There is
Second
either
Wind
has to be
did a-
giant or nothing.
Second Wind did a great video today talking about this and how the biggest issue is that they were same as what happened with Arcane trying to be forced to make Redfall into a live service game. They're getting developers who do great things in single player and forcing them to do these multiplayer environments, and it's not their wheelhouse, and they're not developing what they want because that's not what
they were
fucking
parting
built for.
Bungie out as they try to support both Destiny 2 and
Right.
make Marathon
Yeah.
to facilitate this.
Yeah.
And so what they've done is really corrupted the Destiny 2 experience.
Oh, 100%.
Possibly really hurt the Marathon chances. And also, none of these games are getting off the ground.
Yeah, like Marathon's probably in a nightmare state at this point.
It's
Because the audience doesn't want it at this stage.
between the layoffs and Sony literally cannibalizing the studio to get people to start these other projects, it's got to be the Walking Dead at Bungie right now. Just the people who survived and not the people who are there because they want to be there.
And we need the course correction, and it kind of looks like that is happening. Because the good news is that they haven't immediately announced a shitload of layoffs for these developers. If anything, it's like they've realized, all right, fuck it, let's just let them do what they're good at, and just step back and let
Andrew,
them.
it's not close enough to Christmas to lay people.
No, you're right.
They need to wait
string 'em along.
until probably 4 months from now,
Yeah.
when people are starting to get hope of continued employment.
Guys, I think we're going to be okay.
Then you throw
it's this
the
invite to a company wide meeting at 2 p.m.
Why
Fuck,
is
on a
this,
Friday.
Why is this email pink?
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, that happened.
but
but this is the not the machinations, but Jim Ryan bought live service,
the fallout.
and he pushed a lot of Sony properties into that mold.
and I mean, on the surface, it seemed like a great idea.
And now that they've ousted him, and they've seen that the live service thing isn't bearing fruit. It wasn't a fruit that had a chance of living.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah, this is the problem. They never gave it a chance. It's like planting a seed and then going, well, it's not a tree in 2 months. Let's burn it down.
it's
Guess we better salt the earth, boys.
it's short-sighted in the extreme. Like, these other games could have done it.
Yeah.
Like, why not let the teams continue if they're already X amount of time into development?
Like, even a piece of shit like Redfall probably could have been successful had they let them do their magic. Suicide Squad would have probably been a great co-op shooter. but-
Tangential news is that Warner Brothers is contemplating shutting down development. Just no one wants to say the word Suicide Squad, but it's
Yeah.
more than likely
well,
related to,
they did the last patch. It's done.
And it's-
Oh, that game's over.
yeah. But I mean, they're talking about possibly getting out of first party game development and just licensing it out.
Again, it's the same lessons. It's the same. It's because it's not enough money fast enough.
Yes.
That is the thing.
Well, the thing is the number of things fighting for the live service dollar, and number one in it is Fortnite. Yeah. Number two, it is League of Legends. Number three is Dota. Number four is Marvel Rivals.
And Call of Duty.
The top of it is very much eating everything, and then everyone else like Destiny and Redfall and Concord are fighting for the bits around the edges. They're the scavenger, they're the remoras to the shark.
And if FIFA 25 is already failing to meet their
loot box
already
expectations,
unreal expectations, and that's starting to fall apart, then this is going to have monstrous implications to the rest of the gaming industry, and perfectly reasonable games.
My God, single player games without loot boxes. What are we going to do?
So if they can reset and say fuck it, let's just make some fun little Astrobot instead of Astrobot the fucking MMO.
I mean, we'll see. Yeah. They've got teams with nothing to do now.
Yeah.
So
there's going to be blood in the water coming soon, but hopefully it'll end up with.
I mean, it's
people that care about games will actually start making games.
I don't see 2025 being the year layoffs stop.
This is it. No, we're done. No more layoffs. Everybody gets a job.
But in other news, the director of Witcher 3 has a new vampire action RPG.
Looks very cool. Question mark.
No, it actually. So shit. I'm not gonna.
Is this guy no longer affiliated with CD Projekt Red?
No.
Okay. Because he's just the director of Witcher 3.
So the cool thing is it's a vampire action RPG.
All right.
And
the existing IP or
no? It's completely original.
All right.
It is one of the fun things about it is it has a full day-night cycle, and your character is basically somebody who's partly vampire, like in the middle of transitioning. So you have a lot of control over it, over which direction you go in. What's really interesting is it has a 30-day story. So it's a day-night cycle. It takes place over 30 days, and the choices you make affect the story, and then it's done after 30 days.
So it's a roguelike.
And then you replay it. So it's not really a roguelike. It's very branching, but you're encouraged to replay it because of the fact that you're going to have a very different experience.
So it's a finite experience.
Exactly. But with a lot of different possible directions you can take it in. Like you can lean into the vampire thing and kill everybody and become the Dark Lord. And at the end of the 30 days. So I like the gimmick because that gives them a structure that they can focus on instead of this, when you have games that promise you a lot of directions that you can like, oh, your choices matter in the story. In this way, because it's only 30 days, they have a lot more, they're limited, which helps give them some real strength in what they can do in making an impact on your choice and not have to worry about how it's going to look in 10 years of gameplay. It's just like, no, we just have to worry about how it's going to look after a month.
Does it have a name?
Curse of the Shit.
It should have been Boss Ferratu.
Curse of the Shit.
Curse of the Shit is bold.
THA.
That's
Curse of the Shit.
That's Taco Bell.
Curse of the Shit.
Dark something. I don't know.
Curse of the Dark Shit.
Look.
Dark Ferratu.
Witcher
Dark Tire, Dark
Director.
Vampadar.
If you had the show notes open, you could click on the link.
The Blood of Dawnwalker.
Oh.
All right.
The debut project from Rebel Wolves.
Rebel Wolves.
It is the director of Witcher 3, Konrad Tomaszkiewicz.
I would expect to see that written on somebody's T-shirt who I would not talk to in the gym.
It is also comprised of other
or on the side of a van with barbarians.
It's other CDPR alum, and it was only possible at a smaller studio with less red tape. So Blood of
grievances.
Blood of Dawnwalker, not the Dawnwalker, Dawnwalker. So this. It looks very cool. And it has some very interesting applications. I think it's hoping to come out next year.
Single player?
Yes, very much so.
All right.
So that's going to be a fun title.
Okay, last two things. First, I had to add this note because how did they just not want to pay Donovan any royalties?
Yes.
Is that the thing?
Nobody wants to remember Donovan.
I fucking love Donovan. All right, fine. It's the season of witchcraft in Diablo 4.
What was his other song?
What do you mean, what was his other song? Mellow Yellow? Hello?
Oh, okay.
I'm
That's
not
it,
going
though.
to sing Mellow Yellow for you.
But it was Mellow Yellow and Season of the
Mellow
Witch.
Yellow and Season of the Witch are the two big Donovan songs. Yes, Donovan's glorious. Are you fucking kidding me? Donovan did a guest spot in Futurama. Come on.
I mean, who else
that
can
was
say that?
oh my god, that was a great
There you
bit,
go.
too.
See there, I sparked a neuron
Yes,
right there.
that was a fucking great bit.
Donovan's awesome. Donovan was the
Oh,
Donovan's the poor man's
Okay.
fucking Bob Dylan.
I'm sorry,
okay?
I had to
Well,
use.
no,
I
the
had to use
season of the
internet.
witch really cemented that.
Hurdy-gurdy man,
Hurdy-gurdy man. Of
Sunshine
course.
Superman,
Come on.
Atlantis.
These all sold dozens of copies.
It's Donovan. You gotta love Donovan. Who?
No,
He's in D miscellaneous in every record store.
the Futurama bit was the take on in the year 2025 or something, wasn't it?
It isn't it, in Atlanta. It was on a take on Atlantis.
Atlantis,
because
okay.
it was about Atlanta.
But oh wait, no, I thought it was in the one where they were
And
launching
also
through time.
Jane Fonda was there. Right? That's Donovan. Man. Oh, anyway, I'm not even going to
No,
try.
I
anymore.
apologize.
I give
So-
up. Anyway,
so about Diablo
so
4.
about Diablo 4.
Have y'all played it?
I did.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it or not, I managed to tear myself away from a different game for enough time to start up a new Diablo character in the current season of Witchcraft.
It just started on Tuesday.
And yeah, there was an article on Kotaku, I think today or yesterday, talking about how like there isn't a lot of like they haven't turned the world upside down, but this is the foundation they're building on going forward, and this is good because
The story for this one has been extremely good. Spoilers, I am done it.
Oh, okay.
I'm
not.
I am level 60 and I am
Jesus.
working on my
So
Paragon.
side note, I shared this to the other chat. Season 7 has been out for less than 24 hours. Rob2628 is currently Paragon level 227.
He poop socked it.
What the fuck, dude? Jeez.
Listen, I'm only Paragon 8,
There you go.
but still the
Jesus.
story I wanted to
right.
so I had plenty of time Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to play it, and I thought I'm gonna spend some time with it. I wasn't blasting through it either. I was doing because they've got these really nice breaks in between story beats where you have to go and collect whispers, and the amount of whispers you have to collect each time increases. So you're spending a little.
Gotta get them heads.
You got a little bit more time in between each, so it kind of keeps you from completely blasting the story.
Because you should be getting a lot of heads.
But the story is extremely good. I love the Tree of Whispers is involved. I like that the Coven has come out and you can kind of interact with them. I love that the special areas are like Blood Tides except just for Whisper missions.
It's an XP farm.
And it really is, but it's also way harder than the rest of the world. There's been a number of times I'm only on hard and I got ended by just 2 of the elite level ones that spawn.
It's been a couple times. I'm like, what the fuck
Hardest
killed me?
3?
Like, what the?
2. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Shit, I've been playing 2.
The first thing where you had to walk in and fight the guy in G-Cool.
Oh! That first fight, I'm like, whoa! I went to hard like by default because come
Yeah.
on, I know Diablo. Come on, nope.
4 tries on hard. I had to level up in the pre area.
Yeah.
Each time, and then tried them, level up, tried them, level up, tried them. I finally got enough of the build, like the leveling build, unlocked that I was able to start surviving his phases. I blew through 10 potions before I even got his shield off the first time.
It was definitely
the fourth time I was able to do it, and I had like 5 left. So I'd gotten enough of the build up that I was able to have some.
A little surprising because usually they push you out to say go grind for a bit and then come do the story. But in this case, it was just like because historically you can jump into the story pretty quickly and
it was refreshing that it wasn't just a gimme right at the beginning. Like they gave you something that was like solid to.
No, I was definitely challenged. I didn't die somehow. But
Each of the guys that you come across in the beats where you have to go fight someone like that, they're not a pushover.
Yeah. No, it's been delightful. I'm at 30.
I haven't run.
I'm not even close to that. I'm like, I don't even know what I am.
I ran enough of a blood tide to finish off my first seasonal challenge, like the first set.
I'm getting close to that. I mean,
but then the rest of the time I've just been running the green areas on the map because it's fantastic for XP, great for legendaries. Holy smokes.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people doing it, which is nice because you can just kind of coast along and let somebody else do half the work and you get a chunk of XP.
But this is literally the first time since Diablo 4 launched that I've rolled a barbarian.
Oh.
I played every other class for at least a little bit, but I've never rolled a barbarian because Andrew's always locked that class up, and I'm like, well, we don't need 2 barbarians.
I didn't know you wanted to.
That's not what Diablo's like.
No, but I also
it doesn't mean two barbarians means
I really have
power.
enjoyed the rogue and the sorceress for the most part with ones where I go deep in this season.
I rolled another Spiritborn, and I was. The builds obviously incorporate the witch elements.
Yes,
and I
mean,
the witch stuff in the surface, it feels like the vampire season, the powers you get kind of play out like those powers.
The witch ones are a lot better.
Oh no, they're better. It's an iteration of it. The fact that you get 5 slots plus the 6th one.
I went to do
surprising.
a stronghold on hard, and for the walk up to the boss stuff, I do not have to swing a weapon. Just my aura of poison and horror kills everything. I just walk forward like an implacable spirit, everything dying around me, and the boss has got to be going, I don't want none of this.
Because, it leans...
Can't we talk about this?
It leans into the power fantasy.
Oh, it is.
That's something that comes up in Destiny a lot. Where
just watching the trash melt.
When they fuck up in Destiny and they accidentally make something too powerful, and you just wander in and just start executing shit, and you're just.
But then they patch it within 10 minutes,
right? But but for that brief period, you're like, yes, this is what I've always wanted: infinite power.
The only reason is because I'm at 60. I'm still on hard. I haven't bumped it up. I just wanted to unlock the strongholds for maximum travel points.
I'm getting there. I haven't even started the strongholds yet.
I need to do the pit so I can start doing torment stuff.
So I've got a week to get. I mean, I'm confident I can quickly get into Paragon, obviously, but then I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks. By the time I come back, you guys will be glowing. And he'd be like, I suppose
don't count
I can
on that.
deign to let you tag along as I murder.
I'm just going to wave my arm and swaths will die.
Then you will have the experience that I had the last time I played Diablo with y'all, because that's exactly what I was like. Wow, I took a break and then I regret it because wow.
But the beauty of this is that you'll be able to roll another character anyway if you want.
This is the thing that the Kotaku article was getting at, was the reason that this isn't that drastic of a change is because this is the foundation that they're going to build on. And that's good. Like the
armory's in the game now.
The armory,
it doesn't cost you gold to respec all of your points.
And this is the thing that I'm really encouraged about with D4 is that, like, okay, the problem before was I'm glad they kept iterating and kept being brave enough to like really change fundamental aspects of the game to tune it enough that it got to a good place. That's excellent. Thank you. That's exactly what I wanted. Now that we're there, please stop, because I'm tired of having to like trash all of my gear and like everything you just did is meaningless because everything is different now.
Yeah.
Right. That was starting to be a problem. Thankfully, that's not a problem anymore. We're good now.
And if you want to try a different build, you can just start getting gear for it and then just change your stuff. And then now you have multiple sets of stuff that you can now flip
But
between.
also, knowing that you can rip through in a couple of days and already get to Paragon level, if you decide the barb's not working for you, you can always just re-roll, and you got months to deal with this.
It's been doing work. I got to get some uniques, but it's set up.
Yeah.
And I've but just being able to respec a build is just going to be a game changer.
Absolutely.
They've got the different, the guides tell you which one to go with, and I'm a slave to the guide. There's no question of that, and that's fine. I still enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no, I'm glad I don't have to try to figure out how this legendary is going to interact with the skills I happen to have picked. I do enjoy being able to. So when I was leveling, I did not give a crap what I was wearing.
Right.
Yeah.
I set up my skills
Make
to
number go up. Yeah.
And then if it's green in the power and then green in one or more of the sub things, auto apply.
And it doesn't matter about the legendaries.
Now that I'm at the Paragon point, I am starting to care about affixes on stuff, and I'm starting to keep an eye out for uniques that need to be in certain slots. But even only partially built, like it feels good.
Yeah, they're in a good place. I'm happy they're there, and I'm happy to
and it's
have
nice
this.
They've rolled over to a nice strong season. It seems good.
If you bounced off of it for whatever reason, it's definitely worth diving in now. If you didn't pick up Vessel of Hatred, I don't think it's currently on sale.
It's definitely worth it, though.
It's been fairly consistently on sale, so if it's not right now, it will be again soon.
Yeah.
But it's worth, even if you don't have Vessel of Hatred, it's worth firing up to try the new system because, as we said,
they're at the place they wanted to be.
They're basically back to Diablo 3 at this point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually.
But that's we've joked about it before, but it's true. They
just need to bring back adventures.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, last thing, which I hope will be quick because I'm going to avoid talking about Warframe. Yes, of course, I'm still playing Warframe, and I honestly thought this was going to be like, oh, okay, I'm just going to I'm going to note I'm playing Warframe still, of course I am, and we'll move on. But then stuff happened today, so
it was really interesting.
Today was kind of wild because Astacross, who is
parasocial friend of the podcast,
was playing Warframe on his stream and had Rebecca Ford, who is the game creative director, on his stream, which is wild to begin with.
I will note, he started the stream playing Destiny 2 because he's still playing through some of the content.
Yeah.
But the fact that he pivoted to Warframe, and as Jamie pointed out, I pointed out that I said, holy shit, he's got 6,900 viewers. And then by the time he had switched over to Warframe, the number of Destiny streamers on Twitch was under 5,000.
Total number of viewers watching Destiny on Twitch was 5,300. And Cross had 6,500 for most of the stream. And towards the end, he was almost at 7,000. So one streamer had more views than the entirety of Destiny.
I don't feel good about this. Okay, I want to be clear about this.
Bungie needs to look at this and say, this is not good. And they've been trying. They've been desperately trying.
Yeah.
They've been putting out twid after twid saying, Jesus Christ, guys, it's gonna get better. Like we promise. The problem is no one believes it.
Yeah.
They don't have the QA to support what they're writing.
Yeah.
And they've proved it to us time and time again that it's going to come out, it's going to be busted, they're going to pull it, they're going to try to fix it, it's not going to get fixed right away, and then eventually it'll get re-enabled, and no one wants to deal with that.
I think that one of the things about this specific issue is Warframe's weird and it doesn't follow rules.
No.
You can't. The problem is some of the big Destiny people have now got the Warframe bug, right? And that has become a thing. And because that's become a thing, suddenly the Destiny mindset is trying to play the same old game, but Warframe don't play those rules,
Yeah.
right? Like it's a whole other thing.
But I think a lot of them are coming to Warframe thinking live service is Destiny.
Yeah.
And then they're getting Warframe, and then they see that Warframe has been giving them from basically 10 years ago what they wanted Destiny to do this year.
Yeah.
And they're going, it seems like most people are more than willing to meet Warframe at least halfway, if
Yeah.
not a little bit more, on its weirdness and plot.
And that's the thing. Like, I don't want to be too effusive. That's kind of what I wanted to bring up with this particular point in the podcast. Was like, I know I keep talking about how much I'm enjoying Warframe, and I really am, but it's not all sunshine and roses. There is a big barrier to entry.
Oh, I mean,
Warframe.
with anything, like it's actually way better than Destiny. Destiny doesn't have an on-ramp. Destiny has a cliff that you run into, and if you hit it just right, you shoot to the top of it, and then you continue along.
Right.
You find a Sherpa or you quit.
I will say that, like, with Warframe, the problem that I think is that, like, there is a certain mentality of game player that, like, when they hit a game and they don't understand what's going on, or they don't understand something about the game, if the game itself doesn't tell you, they're out. They think, and I kind of understand this, that like everything about the game should be included in the game, right? You should never have to go outside the game to find out something about the game. And I get that. But Warframe is from a different era.
Yeah.
Right? That's the whole thing. We got to remember, this is 12 years old. Like, this is a different age of the internet. This was from like, we got... Nintendo had a fucking hotline you could call
Yep.
to like...
So did Lucasfilm or LucasArts.
This is the thing, is that it is from a different
But-
place and time. So the fact that you do have to go, and you have to, this is the thing, you have to go outside of the game of Warframe to learn about the stuff you need to do in the game of Warframe.
If you want to play Destiny right, you have to have 3 different apps installed on your phone.
Yeah.
If you want to do anything in World of Warcraft, you're adding tons of add-ons.
Well, this is the thing. It is, you're right. It is kind of the same for all games.
Some people, like, okay, an app on my phone, that's fine. Add-ons in the game, okay, that just makes it so I can find things. But if you have to access, like, a website or something to find out. But the other thing is that Warframe has one of the most welcoming communities, and if you throw anything in the general, you're going to get someone saying, oh, you should do is you should check this out.
Yep.
And then you go and you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, so this is the information.
This is the others. And I think where people bounce off is the fact that they have to go outside the game. Now, the point is that if you do just even touch any of that stuff, you will find such a wealth.
It gets unlocked.
Yeah, it's... There is a blossoming of stuff out there. I mean, there are so many really great creators that deal with Warframe stuff, and it is extremely complex. I mean, I don't think I know another game that is quite as complex as Warframe. And I still am just barely touching the surface of it, but I now have found the path in that I know I can get there. And that's kind of part of the appeal, of course, is the fact that, like, okay, I know I ain't there, but I know I can see the path to get there.
I think most people that are reasonable are willing to put in some work. And if they can't, especially with streamers, like Aztecross, once Reb left the stream and he was doing stuff on his own, he's like, okay, chat, what do I do? What's going on here? And like he was trying to do some more stuff in 1999, and he wasn't like someone was saying you can make your back room your default entry point into the game, and they told him how, and he's like, oh, that's great, because most of what I want to do is back room stuff. I want to be able to go to my computer and deal with like the weird social thing that's in the game.
Oh, there's a whole
but I mean,
Lord.
streamers have chat, and chat generally is full of people who play the game because they want to see somebody playing the game when they can't, usually.
Yeah.
And they'll have tons of information, although they did troll them on a answer to somebody.
Well, this is one of the things that I think, and if we're going to get to some of the negative stuff, and I do want to point out that there is negative stuff. And
100%.
One of the things, now this isn't unique to Warframe, obviously, but Warframe, as far as I understand, does have a particularly virulent quality about this. It's like backseat gaming.
Oh, yes.
As Astacross had to make a post about like, guys, stop, because he wasn't playing the game correctly, and he was getting like some really angry people yelling at him about not playing the game correctly, and it's like,
Yep.
That
happens anywhere though, where the
true,
game
yeah,
is your. They don't want to say your life, but your live service game. Like you've got this one.
Yeah.
I'm not saying people only have to have one, but so a lot of people have one game, and they have sharpened the point on that one game to such a razor tip. And when they see someone playing it wrong, i.e., not doing the most efficient movement through the entire thing, they get angry. And I'm glad he addressed it, because it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse if he doesn't say something. And hopefully he's able to get it reined in. But he was addressing, like, he was like, Chad, how do I do this? Like, because it's not intuitively evident a lot of times
absolutely
how to do something. But having a resource like chat for a lot of these streamers, especially in something like Warframe, is invaluable.
It's one of those, like, there's good parts and bad parts kind of side to it, but
it's a double-edged sword.
It really kind of is, but it is still being very much a positive force.
And I mean, as long as it's that, ride it. Like, it's
exactly.
This is. I didn't appreciate Destiny when it was filling that need in me, and now that it's kind of fallen flat, I'm just like, ugh. And I wish I had spent the time when I was in it doing stuff like daily, spending it, kind of enjoying it. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. You don't realize what you've got until it's gone.
And to the point that, like, as we talked about literally today on the Discord, I was like, so, my finances are real tight at the moment. So there was a thing called TennoCon that happens every year. This is how wild the whole like Warframe thing is.
Yep.
Is that like it's a single game, and they have their own convention that happens every year, and they can do that.
Yeah.
And they don't have to move around. They do it where the developer is in London, Ontario.
And people come there. For
Christ's sake. And people from all over the world go there.
Astacross committed to going to TennoCon this year. That's
fucking wild.
He is fully invested.
So we're not that far from London, Ontario.
We're very close.
I've been seriously debating going, but of course, since money is so tight, that's kind of a thing. And then, of course, one of the people in my current clan, Spectrum Syndicate, shout out, Paragroot, who joined the Operation Puppet Discord, shout out Paragroot. If you've listened this far, thank God.
Yeah.
Bless you, Paragroot. There's going to be a clan meetup at TennoCon.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I would absolutely... the clan has been wonderful.
Yeah.
It's been 2 weeks since I joined the clan, and that since the last podcast, and they have been fantastic. Lovely people. Chat is always friendly and welcoming. I've had people help me. I've had I had to get like a specific, item to build something. Somebody in the clan had it. I was like, okay, I could buy this from the market, or I could buy this from somebody in the clan. So I'll ask in the clan first, because obviously I want to give my platinum to the clan.
Absolutely.
Before I do this. And they would not take my money. It was like, just have this. I have it spared. You take it. You do the thing. It's all good. So many nice and wonderful and kind and welcoming people. It's unbelievably positive.
Wow.
So I think I might be going to TennoCon.
That's awesome.
And meeting up with Spectrum Syndicate.
Yeah.
That's really fucking cool.
That's really neat.
The money may not pan out. We'll see. But I know. You know what?
Jeez, I've been to London.
So
Me too.
I one of the things that they do, of course, is a cosplay contest.
Yep.
I looked at some of the pictures.
Oh yeah, people.
Oh my fucking God.
People go in and they don't just do XCal, which is like a bodysuit and a funny sperm thing on your head. They go all in.
Dear Lord. The best one, I think, this is an inside Warframe thing. There's a character called Clem.
Yes, and his Grakata.
Who's a Grenier, and he's just a generic Grenier soldier. But that ain't a fucking easy costume. Somebody did Clem.
He is so clone rotted that all he can say is Clem and Grakata.
And when they interviewed him on stage, all he would say was Clem.
Yes,
It's so good.
Clem.
That's now a Warframe meme. It's like whenever there's a Warframe stream, everybody just logs on by saying Clem. It's so good.
I want to see someone do the Worm Queen.
Ooh, oh man, that would be dude.
Or Worm Queen puppet.
You know, that would not be. This is one of the things I speculated on in the Discord, and I've really seriously thought about
Ordis
this.
rod puppet.
This was an Ordis rod puppet.
That'd be cute.
Because there's a physical form of Ordis that you get partway through the storyline that is like, I can make that. Oh shit. Okay, well, we'll see about that.
I wonder if they've had a puppet presence.
I don't know. I doubt it. I mean, according to the folks in my clan, maybe somebody would probably try and purchase the Ordis rod puppet off of me. So we'll see.
It probably Reb Ford.
Who knows?
This is definitely something you're going to want to start in advance of TennoCon because there's a good chance you're going to move product.
I mean, I would talk to DE about that before I even tried.
I think this could become a vector.
The other cool thing, like fucking TennoGen.
Yeah, they were talking. She was talking a lot about TennoGen.
TennoGen is so cool. It's like where community artists can like make shit. Like
digital items in game, and they revenue share with the people when people buy them.
You know NFTs? Well, fuck that. We've already solved it.
I've gotten all the good Nidus looks I've got are all TennoGen. The Cyandanas.
Cyadana, yes.
All the good ones are TennoGen.
The cape I'm currently sporting with all of my Warframes is a TennoGen. It's so good. And they get it.
Yeah.
They understand the idea of how community works, and they understand there's a balance between
absolutely.
We need to keep the company afloat, but we don't want to exploit people. They're just smart.
Yep.
They get it.
She was saying they've got a whole bunch of documents with what they're looking for in terms of detail and modeling, and then they've got a bunch of like default meshes you can get to look at to see what has happened or what they're looking at, and then you're handy with Blender or what have you. You can go in and design your own Warframe skin.
Here's a perfect example. It's like a lot of games have a photo mode.
Yeah.
Right. I only recently discovered this.
I'm surprised you only just found this
because it just wasn't. It's not really obvious. But then when you click on the thing, there's a whole separate section of the game called Captura, where you can
you can play with depth of field. You can play with camera position.
You can create scenes.
Yes.
And it's wild. You could just make a whole diorama of stuff and take pictures.
Oh, I wish I still had. There was one I did on an infested ship where I was doing the Nidus stomp, where all the little pseudopods of infested come up, and the camera was buried in that, looking up at Nidus as he leaned forward into the stomp animation. It was such a good shot.
There's a whole genre of Captura artists.
Oh, absolutely.
Do this as a thing. It's so good. There's so much creativity around this. There's the amount of artists that which work on Warframe stuff, and they actually make a living, not a living, but money out of doing this.
Clem was originally a character in a comic drawn by a community member and became really popular, so that DE made it in the game, and then when he passed they put a little memorial for him. But Clem was just the clone-rotted character that a guy was drawing on his Tumblr.
And there's now a weekly mission you can do to help Clem. It's so nice. There's so much nice.
It's great. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So anyway, there we go. There's my weekly avoiding talking about Warframe, in which I do in fact talk about Warframe.
Listen, I was forcing them the matter this time, but
One of the things I want to do going forward is, of course, because Warframe is such a big part of my gaming life, I'm going to be talking about it, but I don't want to just have it like this every week where I'm going, oh, Warframe is so good. So I want to try and start finding kind of interesting niche ways of talking about stuff that's in Warframe that has struck me that aren't necessarily about like, oh, you should play Warframe.
Yeah.
But just like about commentary about the game itself. And I think so next time what I want to start talking about, and this is a really interesting subject, is the music.
Yeah.
In Warframe.
Yeah.
There's a lot to talk about there. There's a lot to cover there. There's a lot of really, really deep, interesting stuff in there. So I think that's what I'm going to talk about next time. But we are way past out of time.
I mean, what's out of time?
It's our podcast. Who cares? Anyway, thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
We are now done. Episode 2.
That's 2 of season 3.
That's 2 of season 3 of Pixels and Puppets. Thank you, of course, of OperationPuppet.com. All of the links are there. Join us on all of the things.
Join the Discord.
Join the Discord as always, and we will catch you next time.
You have been listening to Pixels and Puppets, the Operation Puppet podcast. Visit www.operationpuppet.com for all our links. Tell your friends, give us a rating wherever you get your podcasts, and join us again because nothing is more entertaining than aging nerds giving their opinions on the internet.